Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town on a Monday night. Smash a like, subscribe, hit notification bell. You know the rules. How you doing, everyone? Hope you're well. Whatever part of the world you're tuning in from. If you've got anything you'd like to share with us, put it in the comments. If you've got anything that we must answer or debate, get your super chats in and you take priority. Hope you're all well. It's pretty hot over here in the UK. It's pretty hot in America because they're trying to take out the world. Mari just gave us the lowdown on all the American politics backstage. That's why I mentioned it. Oh, we've also got a first-time guest on the show, Manny, designated Hotspur. Welcome to the show, Manny. Hope you're doing well. I'll come round to you in a minute. Let's quickly say hello to everyone. In fact, Manny, you go first. You're a guest. How you doing, bro? How's things?
I'm good, man. Just rushing all the way from London to try and make it, and then got home and the missus trying to give me a few ultimatums. So yeah, all good. Just making sure I'm in the good books. Hope everyone is all right.
I'm glad you managed to buy yourself some time from the missus to do the show. So say thank you to her from us. Lee, Lee, how you doing, bro?
Living the dream, as always. Got some sushi in recognition of our new signing. That's gonna go down well, and yeah, looking forward to the next £5 million signing to win the Champions League, because that's what we're doing, right? Sweet.
In the words of Phil P, woo! Iggy, how you been, bro? You good?
Mate, that has to be the flattest intro ever, man. But I hear you. I hear you. Like, you guys, I know it's only mid-June, just over mid-June, and there's still time and all of that to get the signings and the stuff but the feelers, if you like, the vibe, the feelers that are coming out of Tottenham Hotspur, they're not ones of excitement. It's like all of a sudden, you posted something the other day still saying it was a month since we won the Europa. And that month feels like it's been 6 years already. To me, anyway, that's how it feels. Yeah. And I just feel at the moment that we are missing a grand opportunity with all the excitement from winning that, from this to entering the Champions League, and just a great opportunity to really get some business done. And that first signing to make it. You remember last season when we made that first signing was Timo Werner signing, wasn't it? And it kind of got everyone a bit flat from that. We had an opportunity from that to say, you know what, let's get someone excited. And people say, well, there's time to do business. Well, Man City have got Turkey, whatever his name is, and Reinders. Arsenal got Zubimendi wrapped up. They're probably going to get Gyökeres wrapped up as well. Man United, we know what they signing players. Liverpool have just spent about 799 million on 2 players.
Chelsea
getting deals done. But we're there's no rush. Where's the rush? To get players signed. All right, cool. No rush. We'll wait.
But apparently, we're waiting for the starting of our.
I probably added a little bit more of the places. It's not about being the place. You just got to look around. Just like, if we got to take our time, how come the teams around us who have already a better squad than us are doing business and moving quick? Why are they getting it all done if there's no rush? So we'll just wait. We'll just wait to the market. We're waiting for the car boot sale to start, and then we'll get started with our market. It's just a shame, like I said, we're missing an opportunity here, but we shall see. I'm like I said, I'm leaving the door ajar, and please, people want to say Matthias Tell has been signed, and that was our first signing. Okay, cool. Well, we shall wait and see.
Mari, how you doing? Other than
Apart
trying
from
to
that, I'm all right.
take out the world. Iggy's good. Are you all right?
War. Ooh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. War. War. I butchered the song. All I have to say in my Antonio Conte voice, Mr. Levy Club. We got Mr. Levy Club. We got it.
Yes. Well, look.
Let's get two of the worst presidents. You got to deal with Trump over in the political side, and then you got to look at Levy on your football side. Fuck my life, man, to be you right now.
Yeah.
Mate, hold on.
Not that we're in a much better position as well.
I was about to say we got Starmer and Levy.
Before you even got in there, I put it out there straight away.
What's worse?
It's a political stream, man. But
should we just do a politics show because the football's not really much to talk about.
What's going on? Is there any football
action going on?
The World Cup.
All right, there's a few things to talk about. First of all, let's just say, just a little reminder. Iggy did mention it. It was 1 month ago that we lifted the Europa Cup in Bilbao, the 21st of June. That's 1 month from the 21st of May when we lifted it. Boy, has that gone quick. Parade, manager change, you name it. But just a little reminder, we have won this trophy. We've got the Levi and Vinay interview, which we are going to discuss, and the comments that came out of it. Frank has finally joined. We'll look at some of the comments that he's made, and also we'll look at transfers and the fixtures which have come out. And we will end the show with the most important thing of all. The planning permission for the towers has changed. We will discuss this, of course.
Yes.
That's why we support Spurs.
Here we go. 4 new towers, baby. Here we
go. 4
go.
towers. Let's go.
4 towers.
All right. If anyone doesn't know, our new PR man, who apparently is going to be running the football operations, he said, he did an interview with Daniel Levy. So Daniel Levy and Vinay Venkatesham. I've never seen such a bromance, smooching, butt-kissing operation in my life. It was... Listen, you guys can tell what you thought. I wanted to vomit how bad it was. Yeah, Daniel, I really could see how much you wanted that trophy because you've got such thick skin, and I could see what it meant to you. Just shut up. It's like Donna Cullen on steroids. But anyway, they did an interview, and during the interview, Daniel Levy announced that we won a European trophy, but it isn't enough. And he went on to say that we've got to win the Premier League and the Champions League. He has never mentioned winning trophies. Never. This is the first. Are we to believe it, though? We will discuss. I'll go for exactly what was said, the key bits, and then we can go for it, guys. It was... You think about it, it was quite groundbreaking stuff to come out from the club. Anyway, Daniel Levy insists he wants to oversee the club winning the Premier League and the Champions League. He said the outpouring of emotion from the parade was incredible. We've won a European trophy, but it isn't enough. What we haven't done is more important. We need to win the Premier League. We want to win the Champions League. We're very proud of the stadium, but we need to make sure we win on the pitch. There's no point having a wonderful stadium if you don't have a wonderful team that's winning. This sounds like Tottenham away. This sounds like he's been watching Tottenham away. The reason we all do these... my boy Levy. The reason we all do these other events is to provide extra financial resources to the club, which goes back into the team. Everything is about the team.
Bullshit.
Everything.
Bullshit.
Everything.
Yeah, less of that, Mari.
That's bullshit.
The pressure...
Bullshit.
Listen, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. The pressure and disappointment of not winning over a number of years. I just wanted it so desperately, not just for me, my family, but all the fans around the world. We deserve some luck. We'll come to Iggy. We deserve some luck. That last 7 or so minutes in Bilbao was horrific. It felt like hours. So when that final whistle went, it was just an amazing experience. Look,
we need to win the Premier League and we want to win the Champions League. Need and want.
If you were to believe those comments, you'd say, yes, my chairman, my club.
My chairman, my boy.
But where has this all come from? And when you look at the transfers coming in, which we're going to get onto, it doesn't add up. And when you look at Vinay and the way he's smooching the fan base and finessing, seducing fans into thinking change is coming. Listen, I see right through Vinay. I think he's a liar. I'll tell you now, I think Vinay is a corporate liar and he's been brought in to finesse us. But that's my opinion. Look, what do you guys make of it? The interview itself, the way Levy and Vinay were almost asking each other out on a date, the comments that were made, the trophies that, boys, we're going to win the Premier League and Champions League with Ben Davies, Mateus Tell, and the new Japanese guy. I mean, look, the interview itself. Do you believe it, guys? Do any of you believe it?
Can I get this off my chest? I literally, those 7 to 8 minutes, whatever it was basically a big giving each other a hand job, stroking each other's cock, who's nicer, and that's basically it. Other than wanting to win the Premier League and needing to win the Champions League, it was great comedy. Great comedy. And just whole lot of cock stroking and just that's it. I'll take it.
There's only two things that it confirmed to me. One, all of those people that thought there was a minute chance that Levy might be on his way out, that's gone. Yeah,
I told people it wasn't happening.
And secondly, what it has done, and more importantly, for a lot of the people that are in the Levy out crowd, it's put a massive, massive target on his back now. Both of them, in fact. Because now you've said it. You've got to deliver. If you don't deliver, then those cries when it goes wrong is going to be louder than you've ever heard before.
Yeah, because now we can hold them accountable to something. Because they've said
absolutely.
But I have to say, one of the most important things he said was failure is not an option. And I listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I am one of the people, the few people maybe, that actually started to believe him. And I was thinking, oh, this guy has really changed. Look at the boardroom changes.
Inject that money. Inject that.
I know. I was thinking, I didn't want the manager gone, but he's made a decision. He is back in his mind. I was thinking, this is absolutely wonderful. Finally, the stadium's revenue and Stel would have told you, I'm a finance guy. I look at the company accounts. I'm like, right, this is where we kick on. And then I looked at my phone this evening and I was thinking, what on earth is going on at this club?
Manny, I'm booking my hotel room now for Budapest end of May next year. We're there, Champions League final.
We're on our way to Budapest. We're
going.
Johnson, ole. He's going to do it again.
We'd be lucky if we go Bayswater, let alone Budapest.
Premier League and Champions League. I mean, it's how long is what will be the third team after United and City to do the two next season? I mean, that's in 1 year. Seriously. Philly on the show last night said we're doing the quads. We're there. Don't worry. We're there. What a load of bullshit. I mean, seriously, does he honestly think, do the two of them honestly think that anybody swallows that rubbish? What a load of crap. Seriously.
I think Levy's actual ultimate plan is just to make us so profitable as a company that everyone else just has to go out of business, and then we'll be the only club left in the Premier League, and then we'll just win it by default.
Here we are. Al Pesh wants my manifesto. Where's my manifesto? 7-point manifesto for me to support Levy.
Do you know what? I got bombarded. I mean, bombarded with messages from fellow YouTube friends and in the comments. Have you heard what Lee McQueen has said on Last One on Spurs? Have you heard Levy's leaving? He's got inside sources. And I said, do you not ever listen to what that guy says? He's wrong 90% of the time.
Still,
Levy's not going anywhere. He owns 30% of the company.
Correct.
He's not going anywhere, man.
Correct.
All of you lot with your sauces, man. Your sauces are ketchup and brown sauce and mustard. He's not going anywhere. He's here to stay.
Let's hope he's got less influence, because Lewis has got his guy on the board now, Charrington.
Ian.
That's key. That's key.
Levy.
That's relevant still. That Lewis.
Vinay sat there during the whole interview, right? So there's bits I didn't read because we just wanted to do bullet points. But he said, I've known Vinay for years. We go back a long way. Sometimes when you bring new people in, it can be difficult, a bit uncomfortable. But this was so easy because we know each other. This is Levy's guy. Levy's brought this guy in. This is mate. This has got nothing to do with Charringtons and Joe Lewis. I don't listen.
When you look at the club,
I don't buy it. I don't buy any of it, guys. I don't.
From a financial perspective, right? When you look at every single thing that the club has done, if you're an outsider who does not care about football, right, and you're just a finance person, a company person, all you would think is this business is just gearing up for sale. Because if you look at our wages percentage of revenue, if you look at our recurring revenue,
that's what Lubo and Lee have said actually in the past. They've said
if you look at all these things, and the work I do, a lot of it is about acquisitions, etc. Right? If you look at all the things that Levy and Enoch have done, you will genuinely think this is a business which is priming itself for sale. But then when you actually look at Levy, and I'm not one of those, Luba knows, I've always said, I always look at Levy and say, right, whenever you give me something to talk about against you, I'll talk against you. If you give me something to talk for you, I'll obviously have your back on those things. However, when you look at his demeanor, what he says, how he speaks about Spurs, everything from that perspective, this is someone who sees Spurs as his baby. And I just, the more I think about it, and the more I'm like, this guy's never leaving. This guy does not look like he's leaving.
Manny, he's got this wonderful stadium that's been built. He's now packing it with 30 different events through the year. So the revenue that's gonna bring in is more and more and more. It was interesting. I was just flicking back through. I'm way behind on catching up on Match of the Days and what have you for the last 2 or 3 months. And I was watching Gary Neville after the Spurs Man United game in February. And what Neville said was true. On the non-footballing side, great, terrific. But you cannot put the two together. He's been unable in 24 and a half years to bring the two together. And at the end of the day, he is a chairman of a football club. That is what he is a chairman of.
My Man United mates want Levy. They wish they had Levy at Man United. Well, they wish they had someone that had the finances in order, built a new stadium. They genuinely, my Man United friends genuinely wish they had Daniel Levy.
I've got to tell you something. You should tell ask your Man United friends whether they'd swap all the trophies in the last 25 years that they've had for 2 trophies and a great ground and a great training pitch. This is where
we end up arguing. This is where Iggy, what do you make of that interview? The comments made, these major honours that we're going to try and win now. Do you believe it? Do you think it's bullshit? What do you think of it?
Listen, I'm going to be real with you guys. I read it. I didn't watch it. I've read about it. I didn't feel like sitting through listening, using box office's word, a load of waffle. I just can't entertain it, man. These. Look, I'm gonna state one thing, and it was pointed out rightly so. He has said something. It's almost like in writing, in terms of we need to win the Premier. we need to win the Premier League. We want to win the Champions League. There's no time frame. No one even asks, okay, what time frame do you want to do this? Because there's one thing saying, I want to win the Champions League. I need to win the Premier League. But then immediate signing after that is the £5 million player from Japan. Who's now
Kota Takai.
Lee's now just sent a message on WhatsApp saying, Werner could be signing again on loan.
Stop it.
Look at your phone. It's just and I'm thinking,
I will go full Frank out. I will go full Frank out. All in.
This is what we are stating, and the fact the other thing is publicly we're saying one thing, Champions League, and all of that. There's no time frame in that. Okay, my first question. My first question would have been to Levy. Okay, what are we looking at? What time? What's the time frame that we're going to be in a position to be challenging for the league? Forget the Champions League for a minute, but for the league, because we're in the Champions League. It's if you enter it every year. You can only challenge it if you enter it every year. But in terms of the Premier League, we're in the Premier League. We start the Premier League every year. So can we have a bit of a time frame on when we're looking to challenge for that? Because I'm seeing Liverpool, everyone doing business. I said it earlier, doing business around us, equipping themselves to win the Premier League. Where are we, Tottenham Hotspur, in that aspect?
Iggy, you know the answer.
I know the answer, but I want to hear the answer.
No manager gets more than 2 years. So he's got 2 years to win the Premier League and 3 years to win the Champions League.
Why have we sacked Ange? I'm going to go back to it. Why have we sacked Ange?
Still going back there.
He's not good enough. He's not good enough.
Well, but let's get real. What did we sack him for? No, but listen, it's over. He's done. I'm just asking a question. Why did we sack him? For what? Frank ain't going to win the Premier League or the Champions League. Look at the players we're signing.
Still,
let's get real. Look at the players we're signing. Okay. Look at the players we've got.
Right. Let's look at the competition that he won. And
Lubo, he's gone. Wait, Lubo, he's gone. Why have we sacked him? Frank, what's Frank going to do?
I can tell you why. I can tell you why he's been sacked, right?
17.
We got into a situation with Ange, and everyone knows I wanted Ange to have the chance to stay, right? But let's look at this logically. He finished 5th in his first season, 2 points off 4th, right? Yeah. And we can all agree that those 2 points, when we had a few injuries in the run-in towards the end of the season, had he changed somewhat, being pragmatic, whichever way you want to call it, he could have finished top 4, right? Yeah. Then in the second season, and I don't care about what anyone says, we had a whole number of injuries. He then, at the end of January, decided, right, you know what? I'm going to focus on the cups, whether wrongly or rightly, right? And then wanted. No, let me finish. Let me as people will say, let me land, right? He then won the cup and got us into the Champions League. But from a business perspective, right? Levy is looking at Ange and thinking, well, you didn't finish in the top 4, which guaranteed Champions League the season before. And then now you've qualified for the Champions League via another route that you're not going to get the following season.
Correct.
The Champions League is where Levy knows that he's going to be getting the revenue he needs to be able to do whatever he wants to do, right? If he knows that he's looking at Ange and he's thinking, this guy is ballsy, he wants to do whatever he wants to do, and he is focusing on the cups, whether rightly or wrongly, whichever way you want to put it, that is no good to me. I need to be able to bring in a manager that at the very minimum can just get me Champions League year in, year out. If you can't do that, you've got 2 seasons to prove to me that you can get Champions League every year. If you can't get Champions League every year, you're out the door. Because the cups, winning, competing, whatever it is, does not matter. It does not matter. It's what the revenue being brought in. That is what matters.
You're right, Manny. You're right. In relation to what Stel just said about why sack Ange, well, you may as well go back to 2002 and 2003 and say why sack Glenn Hoddle. You may as well go all the way back and say why sack Glenn Hoddle.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
I said why? I said why did we sack Jose? I said why did we sack Conte? I said why did we sack?
Why did we sack any of them? Because they're all set up to fail. So none of them had the opportunity that Klopp, Pep, Wenger, Fergie.
But the one manager that does win under this insane system, we wanted him out as well. He was the only one that he could work under this stupid Levy-nomics.
No, but the problem,
to be fair,
is he can't repeat that.
Well, he hasn't got the chance to. He hasn't been given the chance.
No, but he couldn't anyway.
You don't know that. I don't know that.
Well, okay, but if you base it on our results last season, if you base it on the fact that the teams in the Europa League, and listen, I'm not saying it doesn't matter because they weren't as good as
we were one game away from a Carabao Cup final.
We were a long way away from the Carabao Cup final.
We were one game.
You told me not to go. You knew.
Because I knew we'd lose. I knew we'd lose. Yeah, but we still one game.
Well, we
were nowhere near good enough, were we? We were nowhere.
Yeah. What did Conte do? What did What did the others do?
No. But the team we've got now, we were nowhere playing that season. Beating Liverpool, were we? There's no way.
So this. Look, do you know what? I don't. Do you know what? I don't want to turn to an Ange thing. This interview with Vinay. Do any of you think Vinay is anything special, or do you think he's just literally the ultimate PR puppet?
No, I think he knows his job inside out. I think it will be a help to Spurs for Levy to have somebody who's actually worked in football at a top club for 14 years. It can't be a bad thing because he has surrounded himself with yes men and yes women on the board who are not football people. And we have suffered as a result. Because Levy's football decisions have been...
Vinay's not a yes man.
And Vinay, but here's the thing too.
Hang on, Mario. Let me just finish. Levy's footballing decisions through the 25 years have been catastrophic, bar one or two. Paratici was a good signing, very good signing. Paratici did loads for the team. He got Pochettino by default. Poch came in very lucky. Again, Levy got lucky because Van Gaal had the job. And then in between Van Gaal coming to Spurs, Man United came in for him and Van Gaal said, sorry, Daniel, I'm not now coming. So Levy then had to go and find another manager and he picked Poch, which, okay, good decision because the football we saw under Poch didn't quite go over the line, but the football we saw was brilliant. The idea of bringing Conte and Mourinho, if there had been any other chairman who was desperate for success for the football team, that would have been a great decision. And what I hoped was that the fact that Jose and Conte were winners, I hope that would rub off on the rest of the club because the mentality at the top is not about winning. Is not driven for success. It's just driven for profit. But unfortunately, it didn't work out with Jose and Conte, and it went all the way back. And Ange, at the end of the day, had to completely go against all his footballing principles that he has had for his entire life as a coach in order to win a trophy.
Because he's a winner.
Is he a winner?
That's what winners do. That's what winners do.
They win. It's different, guys. Whether we like it or not.
Okay, let me go back to Vinay. If you ask any clunky out person, Arsenal fan, they will tell you Vinay is very good with PR. Basically, dog and pony show for the fan base, and for Levy, he wants that because we do forget they were singing Levy out and singing songs like "We Like Kulubetsky" and
that's ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous song. It should have been instead of Kulusevski.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
CHFC.
So he knows, despite
it was watered down. It's a nonsense song.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So this is before we won the Europa. He already has Vinay coming in. He has Vinay coming in because you look at the interview, Vinay already said he's going to speak to the Supporters Trust, and I forgot the name of the other group. Notice he didn't mention Change for Tottenham. He mentioned the two groups that he's going to talk to, right? Probably got Levy there too to sit with him to be able to talk. This is Vinay. This is his stick. So he's come in to basically now to I call them lie, but basically it's PR bullshit to the fans. And it's working, but not working. Because I'm noticing that people, even today with this signing, people are just saying, this is the same old Levy shit. This is the same. So I want to say the good news, there is some momentum in regards to people not liking Levy because people are not buying it. So that's the good sign. But then I came in to financially, continue to steer the club, but also PR-wise, because Tottenham is not that great PR-wise, is to bring in good PR to the team. But from early signs, I think people are not buying that bullshit because I'm seeing a lot more. Maybe the Lee McQueens, they buy it or whatsoever, but I'm seeing people saying, even with today's signing, like, that was a bullshit interview last week. I'm seeing that more on Twitter.
Sure.
Mate, Levy is an absolute genius, right? Because what he's done, he's brought Vinay in, done a little interview, and Vinay sat there and went, yeah, I'm running the football side of things. So what Levy's done is brought in a deflector shield. If anything goes wrong going forward, no, he's in charge. He's in charge of the football side. It's all his fault. Leave me alone.
Lee,
absolute genius, mate. The guy's a genius.
With Scott Munn, he said this with Scott Munn as well. Scott Munn was running.
Mate, that guy was in and out quicker than a fucking wet fart. It's not even worth being here. That guy didn't do anything.
Still, do you see
You're
that?
right. It's brilliant. What he does is brilliant. Year after year.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you in.
Alistair Gold reported that Scott Munn's been put on gardening leave.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is
for attitude. All this garden leave. That garden's getting full, man. Every year. They're saying this time next year we'll be speaking about this guy leaving. It's
our fan base is the stupidest fan base in English football history, man. Honestly, it's so dumb.
I agree.
Lange and Munn. This was the project. We were told after Conte, Jose, I've learned my lessons. I've made mistakes, said Levy. He then said that we've got our Tottenham back. This entire fan base sucked in hook, line and sinker. Sacks Ange. Lange will be on his way at some point. He's got rid of Munn. The project is dead. It failed. And what do our fans do? Yay! Thomas the Frank engine. Go on, my son. A proper coach. Sucked in, jumping all over it like a rash. Rather than mass protest being against this signing of another manager, everyone's lapping it up. Give Frank a chance. He can coach players. Do you know what? When we brought in Mourinho, he's a winner. Everyone turned on Mourinho. In came Conte, but Conte's relevant. He wins now. Everyone turned on Conte. In comes Ange. Front-footed football. You see when you get a proper manager, they turned on him. And now he can coach, can Frank. Listen, this fan base is thick. Sorry, guys. I'm not calling you thick, but I think some of you, I'd like to debate where we're going with this whole, yay, Frank, but
still, I'm very
in. Man. It's sucked in. All of you. What fan base?
I haven't been hoodwinked by Levy. Far from it.
You wanted Ange out. You wanted Frank. Correct. By doing that, correct, you've given Levy what he wants. This is what Levy wanted. He wanted you to get on board with a new manager. He didn't want you to go against him and go against him sacking Ange. He didn't want that. What Levy wanted was, believe me, I've got to get rid of the project that I sold to you. Believe me, Frank can coach the youngsters. They're all going to be messy. He sold you a wet dream, and everyone's just dived in.
Yeah, but
sorry,
no.
Sorry, guys.
Wait and see.
Luba, the tough thing about it is...
I don't need to wait and see. Look at the signings.
Telios, And
Still signings. Tell Davis and what's his name? Katataiki.
Yeah, still, I've said this a couple of weeks ago that what was my outlook for this next coming season? No trophies. So for me, I had no problem because for me, the league form, especially the league form, was terrible, unbearable for me. But going into next season, like Manny said, we didn't have a Europa League to look forward to. So for me, I'm just my common sense. I'm like, well, we're not going to win the Champions League. We're not going to win the Premier League. For me, in the domestic cups, it's facts. He's 0 for 4. You got to semifinals. Yeah, played a good team. Liverpool waxed them. So for me, other than winning the tournament, the competition that we were favored, people forgot we were actually favored to win the Europa League. We won it. We're not favorites for any of the competitions.
Mari, what was everyone's reason for winning rid of Ange? The league position, right? We're not fucking winning the league. We're not winning the Premier League. So who cares about league position?
No, I suddenly, I'm saying my outlook going into next season, and I was going to do an episode, but they fired him about the injuries and why the injuries will not go away because it's always been his history. So I looked at next season looking at, well, he's going to play the way he plays in the league. The domestic cups, when we play a good team, we're going to get our butt kicked, especially now Chelsea and all these teams are improving, and we're still continuing to sign the same draws.
Guys, can I ask a stupid question, right? Because I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall every week and in every WhatsApp group and on every show, right? Why sack a manager if you're going to bring another yes man, another puppet that's just going to feed the Levy machine? What is the point of this? What was the point? What is the point of this? What we're doing with Frank?
Not have a manager. Don't have a manager. Let Levy run the club. Let Levy manage the club, which is
fine. Or Lubo, or keep the only manager that's proven he can win something under this guy.
No,
that was my whole argument.
To do, right? If we
I think it's Haley's comment that one time is like.
Are you as Spurs fans? Are you as Spurs fans happy when you heard that Ben Davies is staying? When we've spent 35 million on Mateus Tell
as well, man.
Listen, tell
Iggy. Maybe that's why he went because he said, "I want experienced players now." Time to go. Because when Conte said we need to start spending 60-70 million pounds on players, Conte was gone.
But still, that's the point. That's the point I was trying to. I was literally getting.
I could be wrong here, guys. I could be wrong.
From my perspective,
it's a bit of a coincidence.
Whether we like it or not, we need to give Frank the time and give him the benefit of the doubt. Right? He is not he didn't appoint himself. He's not the reason why he is in charge of Tottenham.
But he knows what he's walking into, Manny. He knows what he's walking into, surely.
Yeah, right. But my issue still, right, is, and this is a point on the fans. You know, when we had Conte and Mourinho, those are managers that had pedigree and were able to come in with a certain aura and say, right, I have asked for A, B, and C, Levy, in terms of signings. You've given me F and G and Y. So I am going to tell within the press conference and say, no, this is a club signing, which is exactly what Conte did when Jed Spence came in. When Ange came in, he didn't have the clout to do that. 2, he was coming into a situation where the mandate he was given was to bring the fans and the ownership together. So when the signings were being signed, of course,
Ange was a yes man as well, right? Ange was a yes man.
Exactly the point I'm trying to make. He would have had to say, yes, I brought this person in. Yes, I brought that person in. But in reality, and this is why I bang my head over the wall with fans, is the fact that in reality, if you are trying to tell me that Ange was told, right, we will either get Eze or we'll get Werner on loan. And you're telling me that Ange said, right, bring me Werner on loan, bring me 2 18-year-olds in my second window, plus Solanke, because that is what I want. This is exactly where we go wrong, because we let tribalism, wanting Ange in or wanting Ange out, to cloud our judgment in how this club is being run. I can bet you everything, and I could be wrong, but I could bet you everything. We will get one statement signing this season, plus 3 or 4 youngsters. Because that is their model of our club. It's a revolving door. So I do not care if someone says to me, yeah, but Ange brought this person. No. The club brought this person for Ange. The club is bringing these people for Frank.
Manny,
and the fact
just
that
to back you up,
people are bamboozled.
Manny, just to back you up, I would say because I think everybody fell into that trap of how can Ange accept this? But this offseason is a reminder of every year with our manager of, yo, this is the formula. You get one statement signing, if we're lucky, and then you get two kids, nursery kids, and then you get a who player. I said last week, who the fuck? Like this guy today. That's a Google person you gotta look up on Google because like who? What? I'm like
exactly. But the last point, sorry, just for me to land.
Sorry, Frank is accepting this. Frank is accepting these signings. The same energy we gave to Ange has to be applied to Frank. It has to. Otherwise, don't call me a flip-flop. I'm going to call everyone else a flip-flop.
Sorry, what manager in any walk of life goes round to his boss and says, "Go fuck yourself. You're shit. You're doing this. You should."
Yeah, but we never gave that energy to Ange. We blamed him, including me. We blamed him for everything. Now, more than ever, it's so clear. It's so clear. Ange has been sacked because we want a manager that's going to accept even more mediocrity. Frank will turn out to be the biggest yes man ever. Bigger than Ange.
Only Conte is the only one who actually, and actually, no. To be fair to Jose,
it's a tragedy.
No. Jose was very cryptic. If you look at all the interviews from January,
Jose was a yes man as well, Murray. He was
but he was. If you look at his messages, I was looking at it from January to his sacking. He was giving cryptic messages. Remember, because he was offending the players. Like he was like, "Man, these players are really shit." But he held his mouth. If I speak, you know, Conte said the same thing, but Conte said, "Yo, this Jed Spence is a club signing," and then all through those months, Conte it's like a guy that wants to explode. They want to say something, and Conte is like, "If I say something, I'm gonna get in trouble. If I say something, like he's biting his mouth. He wants to say something because he wants to say these players that you're giving me are shit. They're dog shit, you know." And so I agree with you. Right now, I know Frank did not want this guy for $5 million. Kobe Tabuko, whatever his name is. I know Frank didn't want it, but he's gonna accept it because it's Mr. Levy Club. It's a Levy signing.
It begins with puppet then.
It begins with Levy.
If you'll give it
he's a puppet. This is exactly what we said about Ange. Because it's Frank, and because you're so balls deep in Ange out, you can't admit Ange is cut from the same cloth as all the others.
Levy's in charge.
What do you think he should do still? What do you think he should do?
Well, Conte called it out. Conte said, "This is a club signing. This isn't my signing. They wanted him." Conte, do you know what? Out of all the managers we've ever had, there's only 3 I respect: Ramos and Ange because they won trophies, and Conte for calling it out for what it is. All the rest, I like the managers, most of them, but I don't have the same respect I have for those 3. Just my opinion.
Well, maybe just get that Jose, because Jose got fired for going against Levy.
Yeah, but Jose accepted it as well, didn't he? He accepted it.
He accepted it for a little bit, right?
Do you think, guys, that Ramos and Ange are better managers?
They're more successful.
No, hang on, than Jose.
At Spurs, yeah, they're more successful. At Spurs, they're more successful.
I didn't say I said, do you think they are better managers
overall?
Jose didn't have a chance to win that final.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, but who cares if you don't win anything, Lubo? Who cares if you don't win anything?
Hang on. We win it very occasionally. Now, Jose may have won that final. City weren't particularly good. They only beat us with an 81st minute goal.
Well, maybe because Ange played the game with the board and never threw anyone under a bus, they gave him the benefit of the doubt because he
Jose
bought their respect. Whereas Jose, behind the scenes, because of his personality of blowing everything up, the board said, "Fuck this." Maybe Ange played the game better than Jose behind the scenes.
Levy told Jose
Jose
that
was honest.
Jose
was
on Wednesday.
yes,
And
man.
Jose turned around and said, "Well, you may as well be manager."
Iggy, I don't like it when Iggy's quiet. Iggy, say something. Well, you're listening to us going back and forth on this. Listen,
Do you know what it was? It just feels like a rinse and repeat. It's a rinse and repeat. Like every time a manager goes, man, these debates happen all the time. There's so many factors that we won't ever know what happened. I mean, you could look at it and say, did Ange Postecoglou perhaps by winning a trophy now earned himself some leverage to say, I want this? We just meant it. Could he have gone into a little bit of a collision course and said, you know what, nah, we're going to get rid of you now because we're going to follow our model, like Manny rightly says, follow the model that we got. And the only way we can allow them, because a manager that's just won a trophy is not going to then accept these sort of signings in the following season because his own expectation is going to be higher. Sure, he's going to, he bullshitted us about chucking the league away in December and stuff like that because he's justified it by them winning a trophy, and you have to in some way swallow that, even though it's not. I didn't think it was a good enough excuse. Losing 22 games in a season, finishing 17th was never going to save him, even winning a trophy. And the longer that went after winning the Europa, no one came out confirming him. Meant it was probably going to go anyway. Now with Frank, what happens now is like, well, we've got a new manager. We have to be patient. But without Postecoglou there, after winning that trophy, we probably wouldn't have said, no, we need to be patient. We've got this £5 million Japanese player coming in and nobody knows and stuff. There's no marquee signing. So now we're going back to for me, and I said this behind the scenes earlier before we went on live, I said for me, it has everything in the making of stripping everything back and say, yo, you got your trophy, shut your mouths. Let's go back to doing what we've been doing for so many years. It's almost as if we're reining it back in. The enthusiasm slowly is going back to normal. Spurs are going back to where they go. If Frank can make it back to European spots, I said this. I think the target for Frank this year has to be to bring Spurs back to Europe. And when I say Europe, not Champions League, I can be Europa, Conference. I think that has to be the target because this team is, and I've said this many a times, even with this team, we are more than capable of making European spots this season. I think it's good enough for it. In terms of the statement, this is what I'm saying, that the actions for me is going there. So when I hear, and when you guys, still brought up the statement between the two guys and said, have you watched it? No, I haven't watched it because I read it. And for me, it's enough for me not to watch it because how can the two things, what we're reading, what they've said in the video, the need to win the Premier League, the wanting to win the Champions League, how are the two things aligning? How we're saying one thing, and another. The two things are not aligning. So it's rinse and repeat, and it's rinsing, and we're hiring people, Lange, and now we got rid of him. We put him on garden leave. This guy's now come in, who Lee rightly says is smoke screens. Next year he'll be put on the garden. So we're forming a lovely little garden out there full of people on gardening leave, and he just buys more time. So I find what I'm finding, and I've said this, and I'm quite happy to share with the rest of the guys watching us now and in the chat. I find myself every year becoming that little bit less of a Spurs fan for this reason. Not because I don't love Spurs. I've become it's like I'm less invested. I'm going into with the enthusiasm of me watching the FIFA Club World Cup. It's the same energy that I'm going in. I watch it. I doze off. I wake up a little bit, watch a little bit more football, doze off again. It's the same energy that I'm showing for that World Cup as I do for Spurs' new season. And people want to tell me, be patient. We haven't, there's still plenty of time to be getting the deals done. Eze could be coming. Eze could not be coming. And Mbeumo, what's he going Man United for? They haven't got Champions League. He's more than likely, but it's all talk. It's all talk. And at the end of the day, the facts will speak, as always. The only good thing that's come out from this interview that he's actually come out and said about the Premier League, so you've got some level of leverage now against him to say this is what he said, even though he hasn't given us a time frame. He could be saying, "Yeah, I want to win the Premier League and Champions League in 2049," and there was no questions asked about the time frame in doing it. So that is open to, it's subjective. You know what I mean? So.
Can I just say, sorry, just on your point, you're spot on, right? Because what Levy is doing, right, whether we like it or not, what Levy is doing is he's
brainwashed the fan base. That's what he's done.
He's playing Russian roulette, because what happened, right, with he thinks he is trying to get to the point of what happened with Poch, bringing a manager from a lower team who's overachieving, buy him some younger players, and hope that the combination of the manager coaching the players, but also these younger players being good enough, just gets him a Poch situation where these players become superstars. That's what he's doing. He's playing Russian roulette.
But Manny, when Poch came in, Paul Mitchell had bought most of that squad, and they weren't kids. Poch then brought in Toby, Delhi, Sonny, and Wanyama. But he had the basis of the team there because Paul Mitchell had bought it. They weren't kids. They weren't 18, 19-year-old kids. And the players, he had Kane and Son. Kane was like just, his career was kicking in. We got Solanke now. And I just, while I was on last night, I was just thinking about the two periods, pre-Levy and since Levy. Between winning the double in 1961 and December 2000, when Enoch bought the club, 40 years. Tottenham won 1 league championship, 6 FA Cups, 3 League Cups, 2 UEFA Cups, and a Cup Winners' Cup. We won 13 trophies. I'm not even including the Charity Shields. We won 13 trophies in 40 years. We've won 2. That's 1 in every 3 years. We've won 2 in 25, which is 1 in every 12 and a half years. So we've gone from 3 years to 12 and a half years. And this is, and I've seen 1 or 2 comments on about my 7-point manifesto. You okay if I read this out still? Because I agreed with Ange out, because I thought without the Europa League, we will sink this year, because his style of football is intransigent. It's wide open. It doesn't suit the players we've got. The system, the high line means players are getting injuries, with the training causes injuries. The rotation is shit. The in-game management is shit. The treatment of kids is shit. So he may have won the league. He may have won the Europa League, but there were so many things that he did that were wrong that he deserved to go. Do I think Frank will do any better? Do I think any manager will do any better? The answer is no, because of Levy. So I agreed with you on one point and disagreed on the other still.
He will never, ever, Luba, Levy will never have a manager ever again that's going to be in a situation where he gains enough leverage to put the fan base against him. Never going to happen. That thing that happened with Conte, it will never happen again. De Jose going head-to-head with him before a cup final, whether he should play first team against Southampton on a week they should to play cup final, and Jose saying, fuck Southampton, I want to win this cup. That will never, ever happen again. So we will do this manager thing every 18, 20. So if as long as the manager is but
Frank's going to coach everyone, because no other manager can coach.
But this is what the club wants, though. Maybe not what you and I want, or the guys in the panel want, or anyone watch. It's going to be as long as he's doing he's meeting the targets of the club, and he's not going head to head with the club. You call it a yes man, whatever you want.
But Iggy, this is what fans wanted, though. But this is what fans wanted. They moaned. They moaned. League position.
Let me tell you something.
League
There's been
position's
no
the
up-
priority
there's
now.
been-
It's the bread
There's
and
been
butter.
no uproar. There's been no
You don't
there
win
was
it.
no uproar when
Who cares?
Pochettino left. Right, it was probably one of the most. He played. He was at the club how long? There was no real uproar. There was in the end. There was like, yeah, Poch had to go. Every manager's followed since. Yeah, he had to go. He can't do that. His football is too defensive. His one's too attacking.
That's right.
We won a trophy last season. He's lost 22. There's always a reason. If you notice, guys, there's always a reason why a manager has to go when he goes. There's always a reason for it. There's never, hang on a minute, should we have kept him? There's never an argument for why the manager should have stayed. There's always like, yeah, that manager had to go. This manager in 18 months, in 24 months, yeah, he had to go. That and the cycle repeats. So it's really hard.
Yeah, I have to say this, and let's step back from Tottenham. Let's look at football clubs in general. And big up to Sava for doing this study. I haven't looked into it, but I didn't have time to go more in depth. But even when I looked into it, it is generally true. Probability of the 5 big leagues: domestic, European, domestic league, and domestic cups. Right? I think it was like 130 out of the 130, right? 120 of the 130 were either top half, top 6, whereas 10 of the 130, which top of my head, that's less than 10%, won a cup. So when people talk about, and I get what you're saying, it's just like trophy.
Murray, say that again. Hold on, say that again.
Right, Stel, out of the last 120 trophies
Yeah.
that have been won,
130. Out of the 130.
only 10 out of 120, which is just over 8%, have been won by teams not in the top half of the Premier League.
Yeah.
And that's the 5 major.
10, those 10 are Tottenham.
Yeah, and Tottenham's one of the 10 teams.
What's your point you're making with that?
So the point I'm trying to land is just that where people want to see better performance in the league is that teams that usually do well in the league, top 6, top 7, usually win a trophy. They usually have a higher chance of winning a trophy than a team that's 10th and below, which is rarely or anomaly.
Yeah, but we prioritized the trophy this year, so we broke so Ange broke your stat.
I must tell you, Stel,
but it's still an anomaly.
Ange broke your stat. So what is the point of this stat you're reading out?
Yes, Stel, you're right, but it's still an anomaly. It's still rare for it to happen.
Yeah. So finish it. So Murray. So therefore, same logic. Finishing 17th was an anomaly because last year Ange finished 5th.
Yeah, fair enough. And so that's why I said.
Right, so where are we going with this stat? What is the point?
I'm just saying that when people come into the debate of league finisher trophies, of course, everybody wants to win trophies. But I think a lot of people, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm speaking for me. For me, league, doing well in the league tells me that my team has more of a chance of winning a trophy. And that might be the case with clubs outside of Tottenham, because usually it's the case. Man City, Chelsea, Dortmund, Marseille,
Murray, shall I tell you what stat you guys should be looking at? And it's the only stat you should be looking at, right?
Now with Tottenham,
look at the clubs since in the last 25 years, since Abramovich came to Chelsea and the game of football changed completely financially. Since Abramovich became a chairman, and then we saw changes at lots of big clubs all around Europe, especially in the Premier League, PSG being one of those. Look at the correlation between trophies won and spend on transfers and spend on wages, and then you'll see where the winners come from. That's the stat to look at. So for me, it doesn't matter where you finish in the league, right? This is what people that want to defend silly arguments that are flawed say. The only stat you should look at is look at wages. Wages is the best correlation to trophy wins.
Yes, that is a fact.
Look, Murray, it's the correlation. It's the direct correlation.
No, the fact is, it's more of a chance that when your teams finish above table, you have a better of a chance.
No, Murray. Okay. But I'm going to crush those statistics because people need to challenge people that say things like this. There's an even stronger statistic to show that above league position, money spent determines more of an outcome than league position. You could finish. Hold on, Murray. 1 minute. Well, I listen to your stat.
Yeah, my bad.
There's a better statistic of you if you were to come 14th. But be one of the highest wage spenders, that stat will supersede league position statistically. That's where the real winners come from in today's game.
Happens. A team that finishes 15th that spends that much, that rarely happens.
No, Murray, exactly. But if it was, it would supersede it. Why do you think? Go on, Money.
I'm not saying it can't happen. But the thing is, the chance it rarely happens. That's what
I think, Murray. I think the biggest misconception, right, when it comes to this Ange conversation, is that people who wanted to give Ange a chance just automatically want us to finish 15th to 17th and win a trophy every year. That's not the case. When you look at the stats that you are pointing out, and I fully understand where you're coming from, right? Because the whole idea is, right, if you're challenging at the top, if you're getting into the Champions League positions, it means that you gain more revenue, which means that you buy more better players, which means that your chances of winning, a cup is higher. I get that point, right? The problem is that when you take that same analogy and you put it into the Spurs perspective, it becomes redundant. Because how many times?
That's why I said at the beginning.
It does. Because if you look at the number of times, can I finish what I'm saying, please?
Let Marnie finish, guys. Let him finish.
Just for 2 seconds, right? Because the number of times we have finished between the first position and the 6th position and not won a trophy is nearly every single time. And now I want to clarify, right? I'm not saying being 15th to 17th and winning a trophy is enough. What I'm saying is that as one season, as an anomaly of a season, I would have accepted that. And then I would have wanted us to look forward. The problem you have in the equation you bring in is the fact that you've got Levy as a chairman. So you will get to that 4th position.
Exactly.
You will have a Conte who got to the 4th position. You will have a Poch who got to the 4th position. But then you will fall at the last hurdle because the squad as a whole is not good enough to compete across the board. And
which is why statistically is how much you spend.
If you go back, well, listen, when I went back to before I went on my rant, if maybe Iggy or Lee or Lubo heard, what did I say? Stepping back from Spurs, the normal, that's why I said that. I said Spurs is a little bit
but
different.
Then you brought up stats and defended a stat that doesn't relate to Spurs.
That's the normal. But Spurs are not normal. You know what I'm saying? I said the normal.
Yeah, so Mari, so rather than trying to confuse the audience, let's use a normal stat, which is spend.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's what I'm laughing at this.
So rather than fans saying Ange out because of league position, say, hold on, no, 1 minute. Yeah. Can we have a chairman that actually spends money on wages for players that are of the caliber that can actually get us higher up the league table?
Well,
or win the Premier League or the Champions League.
Yeah, and I'll shut up after this.
That's more like
it. This is why I want to edge out is simple. Is I don't believe, because I'm going back by history with injuries, and like I said, I was going to do an episode, but he got fired in regards to injuries and the style of play. I've seen every week I say every week, Pornhub FC. For me, those are the 2 things that wanted me Ange out. I've said I've been consistent. Everybody knows I'm sick and tired of us being wide open. I don't like the high line. I'm not a big fan of his play. And the injuries were a huge concern. I'm like, look, I wanted a manager. Frank wasn't my first, second, third. He was probably my 4th. Who could bring structure, to the team, especially on the defense, because we score goals. I wanted to see structure. I wanted to see in games where we could at least get a draw, get a point. You know what I'm saying? Rather than be wide open and injuries. Those were the major reasons why I wanted End out. Yes, we finished 17th, but that's an easy argument. What are the context to finishing 17th? And for me, it was injuries and style of play. And those were my two things.
Meanwhile, Sky Sports has just put up saying that Man United have upped their price to 60 million to try and get Mbeumo on board.
We're not getting.
We're doing, you know.
In fact, do you know what, guys? Let's move it on. Let's go on to what Iggy's talking about.
Just want to share that. I just want to share.
No, Iggy. Do you know what? Let's go on to it. Let's go on to transfers and whatnot. Okay, so
Man United, no Champions League football this year, no.
Yeah. Iggy, what'd you make of this? Right, there's a couple of things. So Thomas Frank, he's done his first interview. He said the intention is to play aggressive front foot football. Oh my God, who does that sound like? I know the ethos of and the history of the club is massive on attacking football, and there's so much attacking talent in the squad. I'm very excited about that. I mean, that sounds like a cut and paste of when Ange first came. He then goes on to talk about Matthias Tell, saying he's very, very excited about Matthias signing on a permanent deal. I think he's a very talented player who can play across the front four positions. He's a goal scorer, not for Spurs, he isn't. That we can develop even further, maybe we can, and be even more consistent is all round. So basically goes on and on promoting Matthias Tell.
Under 21s the other night.
Under 21s, that's the level. And of course, Iggy, Frank's first signing, if we're allowed to say it that, because we weren't allowed to say it about Tell. Spurs have agreed a £5 million deal for 20-year-old Japan international centre-back. So much for Ashley Finish. Kota Takai from Kawasaki Frontale. He's expected to be part of the first team squad. So, Iggy, since Frank has come, he's told us front-footed, attacking football, the DNA of Tottenham, and we've signed Ben Davies, Matthias Tell, and now the Japanese guy. Iggy, are you excited? And if you are, tell us why. If not, can you tell me what you make of Frank based on what he said and what you're seeing so far? And I know everyone's going to want to jump on this as well. So let Iggy go first. And then Lee, because Lee hasn't spoken in a while as well. We need to listen to what Lee says.
When it comes to Spurs, right, I don't put too much weight on what people say anymore. I haven't done so for a long time. So whilst I will support Frank, and he's a Spurs manager, and I'm sure he'll get us playing good football. I do believe he'll get us playing a more less. All I'm going to say, at the very least, more balanced than perhaps we saw last season. That I can get on board with. But the signings, again, when I hear talking about, Premier League and all of that stuff, I just, like I said, I feel like we was in a position post winning that Europa in a very good, powerful position, and you've got Champions League football again. You've got definitely more leverage than Man United have. When I hear 60 million for Mbeumo, but it just goes to show it all comes down to footballing ambition. How much you want to go again next season? What intent are you going to set out? The attacking front foot football is all good and well to play better football, but also you need the players to do that. How much more exciting would that statement be? And then you're getting players in like Eze and Mbeumo. We know in the wide areas we need players, for example, wide areas. We need players that are very good in one-on-one situation, taking a man on, getting beaten in a man, and creating a numerical advantage in attacking situation. Now, if you say that, if I said, listen, I've recognised the problem in this team. In the wide areas, we haven't got players that are very good in one-on-ones that go past their man and create numerical advantage. And next season, that's the one thing I really want to focus on doing so. And then, bang, I come in with Eze, bang, I come in and Mbeumo, and I'm thinking, shit, what he's just said, he's gone and done and bought two players that are very good at creating those situations. But then you say something and then you do another. You sign a job. Listen, I don't know this kid from Adam, right? It could be a really good player and stuff like that, right? I'm not saying he isn't. But when you make certain statements and then you follow that up with something that's not, it's neither here or there. I can't get excited about it, man. I'll be patient. And, we got the monkey off our back by winning the trophy last year. So we're not starved of winning trophies anymore. But in terms of, after doing that, it's like you want to get excited. Like, let's go again, man. Let's go. Let's go again. And I'm not getting that vibe. The club is not. So people can say what they want. They can make the statements they want. Frank's got his job to do. And, he's got to do it. But then, and he will be judged on that. But
we're not helping him, are we? We're not
exactly. So where's the success? Where's his success rate? He will get to a point of a stumbling block. He will do well. Listen, Manny, this is how it's going to go down. He'll start off well. He'll get us playing good football, good team football. And then what will happen is, like all managers, they get to a point, whether it's in 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, he'll hit a brick wall and he'll go. And that's what's going to happen. We'll be back here in that time again. But in the meantime, the football model, like you mentioned earlier, it's not going to stop. It'll carry on. It'll just carry on with a different manager who will come in and do the same thing again. So that's where I'm at with it, man. I'm not here or there with it. So we shall see. I'm hoping, but that is all I can say. That I'm hoping, but
we finally stopped him. He's stopped. We've done him. Yes.
Mate, doesn't it look like he's about to fart?
Yeah. Out of his beard. A little pigeon's going to pop out in a minute and go, whoof.
Iggy, how are you frozen like that? How's he frozen like that?
Levy's got him.
Levy's got to him, mate. Levy's got to his internet. I'm telling you.
It was interesting. I was on where are we now? Monday. I was on Saturday night, and I was on with Connor, Levynomics. He was talking about he studied Spurs finances, and he made a relevant points about the end of the year for Spurs is 30th of June, and he expects Spurs to and a lot of clubs whose year end is end of June. A lot of clubs to get cracking with spending beginning of July.
But Lugo, my question is: did we sign Madison in June of last year?
Sorry, did we hurt? Did we do who?
Madison. When did we sign Madison?
Madison, no. Madison was later on.
It was later on.
No, Madison was after Ange started in July. Ange's first signings.
We signed some players in June.
No, it wasn't. Ange's first signings after he started July the 1st were Mickey and Madison. When he started last year we bought the four kids. Well, Bergvall was done in January anyway, so he was always starting July the 1st. You had Gray coming in, Odeberg came in August, Tell came in, that was January, wasn't it? Solanke came in August as well, I think. He came in beginning of August, I believe. So I don't think anything happened with Spurs in June. Levy never moves early. The only time he's ever moved early, the only year was it 3 years ago maybe, or 4 when he got Udogi, Basuma, Vicario were all bought early. They were all arranged early. Whether they were signed before July the 1st, I don't know. But all those deals were agreed early.
Guys, very quickly, got a couple of super chats. Sniller says, "Welcome to the J League." Taking the piss out the new signing. He says 5 million is a record fee for a J League player. But 5 million though, that's the key bit. Danny Webb, big up to you. He says trophies over league position every day of the week. And Sniller then says he's been signed for next year's pre-season tour. I guess we're going to. Are we off to Asia? Is that the tour?
Well, Sonny must be going, I would think, after the Korean trip. I would imagine Sonny's on his way.
No idea.
Well, that's the only way we're getting Eze, by the way. The only way we're getting Eze on that left-hand side is if Son leaves, because we're not going to buy more players on that left-hand side. I'm sorry to break it to a lot of people. We won't.
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
How was your fart, Iggy? Was it a good one?
Nah, the internet just started rebooting, man. So I had to reboot it so it's come back on.
Go back after the show and see the position you froze in, and you'll see what I mean.
I was as bad as that.
It was classic. It was classic.
You want to hear from me, Lee?
I think we've got to wait.
Is it my time to cook? Because I'll tell you what.
Cook, Lee, cook.
Before this show, right, and before that signing, I was ready. I was going to boil him. I was going to saute him. I was ready to cook fucking Stell about Frank. I was ready to come in there and give him my 2 cents about Frank. And then I saw that signing, and I'm just like, I'm bored of talking about Spurs now. Same again, rinse and repeat. Listen, I'm just going to say this. This stinks of another Kinksky, right? It stinks of another Kinksky. Why? We've got Phillips, we've got Vuskovic, that Frank has come out and said he wants to have a look at these guys. We've got Danso, we've got Romero, we've got Van der Ven. Why do we need another youngster? It makes absolutely no sense, right? Whatsoever. It stinks, stinking up the place. And I'm going to say this as well. I was, listen, as I've always said, and Stell knows this, I'm not on the Frank train, right? I'm waiting at the station for the train to come in to show me what kind of facilities he's got. I am going to give him the same leverage that I gave Ange. This guy is a well-respected coach, but he's done it at Brentford. He hasn't done it in the top 6 or anything like that. So I'm sitting here waiting to see what he does. That's going to be a long wait because we're not going to know until the season kicks off, because the friendlies are just, they're just friendlies, etc., etc. It's got no barometer there to ascertain what's going to happen in the league.
Spot on.
But so far, we've got. Listen, I think you know what my thoughts on Wattell. I don't think he came with any club that wants to get rid of a kid that's quite happily to sell him with an option to buy in there is someone that is not wanted by that club. I'm afraid they've done everything they possibly can to get rid of him, and we've taken it. We've suckered it in. He didn't show me anything consistently last month that he's got what it takes to play in the Premier League. And I've been watching him in the under-21s as well, and he seems to be playing more up front than anything else. And again, I don't see him as what we want, which is one of those guys that's going to be quick, going at their wingers, etc. I just don't get where he fits in. And now we've bought this 20-year-old, and I don't get the signing, right? And let me just finish by saying this.
Yeah.
Everything that's been going on over the last week in terms of the names being thrown out there, Embuemo, Eze, Semenyo, Paulinho, etc., etc., we know what's going to happen. We might get one of these over the line. And I think it will actually be Eze this year. I really do think it will be him. But everything else, Semenyo, 70 million, he's not worth 70 million. And Buemo, he wants to go to United. Let him go to United. We're never going to pay his wages anyway. Paulinho, we should be all over that. We need a 6, but we're not. We're going to end up with an unknown again we probably will sign one, but we'll sign one marquee. Now that Palace have changed their stance on the fee, I think we'll get Eze over the line. I think that's always been the issue. The rest of it, though, is going to be a rinse and repeat of years gone by. You know, we go 1 from the top and 4 small ones, just like they do on Countdown.
Do you know what?
As I said, my only saving grace in this whole summer is that I hope Frank can coach some of these players better and put a more stable, tactical team together that looks like they're playing like a team. That can get us higher up the league, but we're not winning a cup next year. We're not winning the Premier League. We're not winning the Champions League. I hate to say it, this is going to be a throwaway year. So on that point, I get why Stell says, "What's the point of getting rid of Ange?" Because I didn't necessarily want him. I didn't want him to stay. I sort of was on the fence as to whether he should get some stay because he won us a cup. He did. He won us a cup, but. I get your point, Stell. Why get rid of him if we were just going to rinse and repeat with Frank?
This is what I've been saying. I've been getting whooped left, right, and centre, and everyone's going to come to where I'm at eventually. Do you know, this is what does my head in. This is what does my head in. You see, Frank is a really good coach, when there's no pressure. There's no pressure at Bromby. There's no pressure at Brentford. There's no huge expectation. I've seen it with players and I've seen it with managers. When you come to Spurs, everything changes. Yeah, it's all happy. Yeah, we're all mates. Let's see. We sound great on YouTube and with the media. Yay. When the shit hits the fan, and it does with every manager, how do you navigate out of that? That's the real test of a manager. How do you navigate out of that? He's never had to be in an environment with that type of pressure. Frank's never been in that situation. Never.
And that's why I said I'm not on the train, mate. He's got to show me, like any other new person, that he's up to the task to do it. He's now got to make that step up, just like we've said about Ange as well.
See,
Simple
Lee,
as that.
Lubo, 1 minute. Let me finish what I was going to say, right? Frank might do it, okay? Frank might do it. We don't know.
He might prove us wrong, right? Like someone else did.
Not quite. Big up, Maz. Not quite, because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. When Redknapp came to Spurs, he had pedigree. He'd done great work. He won an FA Cup with Portsmouth. When Poch came to us, he didn't just take Southampton high up the league table. They were playing some of the best football in the league. It was mind-blowing what Southampton were doing. And he finished 7th, got them into Europe. So Poch had something about him, and he showed it. He showed it when he came to Spurs. We know what Mourinho's background is. We know what Conte's background is. As much as we can slag him off, and I don't mind, slag him off, at least Ange can say, I've won trophies everywhere I've been. At least he had that on his CV. Frank comes to Spurs with what on his CV? What is on that CV after 12 years? Couldn't win the championship. He had 3 chances. He couldn't even come second. He couldn't even come second in the championship. Fine. He kept Brentford up. But they've been nothing but 16th, 10th, 13th, 12th. He didn't win anything at Bromby. Bromby won a trophy in 2005, 2018, 2021. When Frank was there, they won nothing. I'm not saying this guy's rubbish. What I'm saying is, what is it about him that they've made Spurs manager? Because his CV shows nothing. The reason he's here, in my opinion...
Poch 2.0, that's what they're hoping. He's going to be able to take the squad and make it better.
For me, Poch was in a different league before he came here than Ange, not a much bigger league. And Poch was blessed with elite level players very quickly. We're signing Tel Davies and this Japanese kid, okay? For me, the reason Frank is here, and it's why I didn't want to change a manager, is because he's going to come in and be another yes man to cheap and cheerful and budget and kids. And we know how it ends in 2 years' time. Maybe he gets Mbeumo. Maybe he gets Eze. But that one super signing doesn't do enough.
Doesn't change the squad.
And Mads, take over, because you've just joined, and I know your ears must have been burning listening in the background. He's like, I've got to come on.
Mads, just before you go, let me just finish off what I was going to say to Stel. He has got one thing, and it's not a great thing I suppose it is a good thing to come with, but the one thing he's got a very good reputation against the top 6. So in one of those League Cups where we've got to beat one of the big 6, maybe he's the one that can get it over line, but we've got to get there first. But that's it. He's got a good reputation against the top 6, but that's it. That's all he's coming with, really, isn't he?
Do you know, Lee, Pete, there are people in life who are really talented and never get the opportunity to show it.
It's true.
Sometimes you need.
I'm very talented, Lee, and maybe I should do a
why are we the guinea pig?
Live stream on Washing Up.
But listen,
£1 billion stadium to be a guinea pig.
Look at Newcastle and Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe won league titles. He won the championship, man.
Oh, do you know, it doesn't matter if you get promoted. It's not a.
No. It's not about getting promoted. He won a trophy.
I hear people have a pop at me about Archie Gray because he was okay in the championship.
Oh, here we
Solomon's
go.
not good enough.
Because fuck me, Archie Gray.
The same applies to managers as it does to players.
No. Lubo, I think managers are different because they've got to coach the players. They've got to have something about them. They've got to win trophies, surely.
He improves every player he coaches. You'll see the difference in Tottenham.
I'll rebuttal that. I don't say that some
We'd have got
players just don't want to be
this
coached.
year. If Ange had been there for the entire season, would have ended up playing
So
QPR.
why has he not won anything if he's improved all the players and Glasner won a trophy? It took him 18 months. Why has he not won anything? If this guy improves players everywhere he goes, why has he won nothing?
That is for a much bigger club than Brentford.
Why did he win nothing at Why did he win nothing at Bromby? Why did he win nothing in the Championship then?
I've got to say, he will make you.
No, answer the question. Don't shake your head. I'm asking you a question. Why has he not won anything? Serious question.
He's never had the backing. He's never had proper backing to go out and get better players.
He was in the Championship, Lubo. He couldn't win that. At Bromby, he couldn't win anything. Other managers before him and after him won trophies at Bromby.
It's very, very easy to say so-and-so won, they came second. Why did they come second? Okay, well let me just give you an example of how false that is. How false that is. Leeds won the league in front of Arsenal. Must have been about 55 years ago, right? So, sorry, beg your pardon. The year Arsenal won the double.
Guys, sorry, I'm jumping off. Lubo, guys, I'm jumping off. Stealth, thanks for having me.
Manny, come on again in the future when you got a bit more time, bro.
Definitely. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Manny. Look after yourself.
See. Leeds were the best team in that division. They got robbed of the Championship the year Arsenal won the double in 71. I think Jeff Astle was about 15 yards offside. The linesman made a rick. West Brom went through and won that.
But who cares about 1950s?
I'm giving you an example of, you look at why didn't he win the league? Well, why didn't Leeds win the league that year? Because they got robbed. It doesn't.
No. Question: in 12 years of management, why has he not won anything? In 12 years of management,
have the players at Brentford, maybe the teams that won
Bromby.
the league.
Why did he not win anything at Bromby?
Who were the teams that won the league? He just started at Bromby. That was his first job. Tell me, who were the teams that won the league?
Klopp won when he first started in a lower league.
We are lowering expectations. That's why we won the trophy last year. Now it's time.
He's not a winner. He's not a winner. He's not a winner. That's
time to go back to normality.
And we are not perennial trophy winners. Under Enid,
you not understood
the thing is, I don't see the need at the moment to go in hard on Frank not that you're going after him personally, but
I'm not going in hard, Maz. I'm just asking the question. Like,
no, I know.
When you look at the signings, it stinks, doesn't it?
It does. I agree.
This Japanese guy, don't you find that another stinky signing?
Yeah. Oh, we signed someone else. Sorry, have I missed something? Have we signed someone?
Oh, Maz. Okay, Maz, maybe you'll change your tune when you've seen this.
Oh, let me see.
Spurs have agreed a £5 million deal for 20-year-old Japanese international centre-back Kota Takai to be part of the first team.
Boom!
Well,
Ben Davis, Mateus Tell, and
Get
Qatar.
that, Maz.
As a matter of fact,
Say something, Maz. Say something.
for Maz speak, who's actually available for Bayern is Kim Min-jae.
They need to keep that Asian market going.
You could have
God
signed.
forbid if we sign the centre back from Bayern Munich, Kim. God forbid we sign Kim.
You know what I would have expected.
Before we announce the signing, Maz, before we announce the signing, breaking news was Thomas Frank really likes the look of Ashley Phillips. He really wants to have a look at him. 2 hours later, we announced the signing of a centre-back from Japan. You can't write this shit. You can't write it.
Look, my thoughts on that is, if Ange signed him, I probably would have been okay with it, because it's like from that league, because that's where it's come from, and he might be some secret player that he's identified.
Lee was saying that earlier, actually.
I said that. It's ironic, isn't it? We get rid of Ange, and we said, he's going to get a load of diamonds from the J League.
So far, I am getting very worried with what's happened at Tottenham. For me, we've signed Werner 3.0, right? Tell. He might as well rename himself to Tell Werner or something, because he's not. For me, he's no. Well, I think he's worse than Werner, but hey ho, I'm sure with the passage of time, I'll get proven wrong, right or wrong, either way. Davey signing again, wrong move, and this guy, some unknown guy, one for the future. We'll see. I'm not holding my hopes up. I do feel, however, that to go in on him now without giving him the opportunity to prove himself, a bit like Postecoglou, right, is a bit premature. I think you have to give Frank the time to either die on his sword or lift his sword up, type thing.
Maz,
However,
can I ask a question on that?
Yeah,
one quick question on that.
Oh, go on.
Do you think it matters if the transfers aren't good enough? Because even if we had Pep, it would still be fucked. Regardless, it's the transfers that are going to help the manager, no?
Absolutely. And I will say this until probably I die, is that how do we listen to Conte and how do we back him and how do we sign those two 70 million pound players every window rather than going out and getting these random people? We'll be in a lot different situation. But what's happened is that look, even now, there's no way I wanted, me personally, everyone knows my opinion, I wanted Ange to stay the ultimate yes man. There's no way. I can't see him turning this ship around or doing anything with this group of players. So, yeah, that's that. He needed to go. And I've always said that we need a manager of gravitas. We need a manager with a name who's going to come in and say, this is how we do it. We do it my way. And they can call up players from around Europe, top players, and say, come to Spurs because I'm at Spurs. But we haven't done that. We've just done typical Levy things like he always does. And as Lee says, and everyone says, he's trying to redo a Pochettino. And I can't see how that's going to work. And judging by the first three signings, I'm really worried. So, yeah, that's my position.
Maz, you're not going to get a manager on the level of a Conte or a Jose coming to Spurs. They're just not going to join us.
But yeah, because of why? Because we burnt Jose and Conte, right?
Correct. That's right.
And Nuno. We burnt them badly. So they have to make amends, but making amends isn't signing fucking Tell. To me, that's not making amends. To me, it's making the situation worse.
Maz, that's a Levy signing. That's all about the finances and the money that Bayern
and that's why I can't accept.
Nothing to do with Ange, nothing to do with Frank. That was a Levy signing.
Fine. And that's why I can't accept the narrative that, oh, well, the protests are finished now, right? Oh, well, you know, that Levy's done what everyone wanted and all that sort of stuff. He hasn't done anything what anyone wanted. He just struck lucky, like he has done many, many times before, right? Don't get me wrong, he made a couple of good decisions. Obviously, we won the cup, but that's as far as it goes. He's just reverted back to type, a bit like Ange. When you think he's learned, he goes back to his normal formation. Levy's doing the same, and that's what it looks like to me.
So, Ian, on your point about this is a Levy signing, I don't disagree. But why? What's it got to do with finances? Because all you're now doing is adding 5 million onto out of the kitty, and then you're adding player wages on top. What? I don't understand the point of it from at all. Well, I don't see the point of signing him at all.
Well, he's got rid
of someone said earlier, Levy's risk averse. Well, I disagree. I think he's very risky because he keeps signing young players, whether it don't matter whether they're 5 million, 15 million, 40 million. What apart from Harry Kane, which one of these young players have we signed where we've actually made a profit on them?
Do you think Daniel Levy's a Michael Jackson fan? Do you think he's a Michael Jackson fan? He just wants to replicate Never Neverland at top.
Well, apparently that's what the training ground was going to be called. There's a creche in there somewhere. It's and they save all the money on the youngsters from the VAT on their tops. So
how are we going to keep the rising stars in our squad? We've only got a few, right?
How are we going to keep Romero, Maz? How are we going to keep Romero?
We're signing random players that no one's ever bloody heard
Madison.
of. They're going to be looking at Chelsea's and Man City's and Liverpool's and thinking, wow, wish I was at those clubs, or Real Madrid's and Barca's and Bayern's and God knows what else. They actually sign players that people have heard of. In all seriousness, Van der Ven can't be looking at this situation and thinking, oh, wow, I'm really happy that Andrew's gone and Frank is here.
I can only assume that Romero's gone, mate. I'm
going to say this. I like Frank. I mean, from what I've seen of him, I think his communication is excellent. I like his ideas on football. But I agree with Stel. I'm not going to get swept up in this hype train for Frank, because for me, like with Postecoglou, I need to see what happens on the pitch, and I need to see consistency, and I need to see what this manager does. You know, and that's it for me. But I'm not going to get upset over it, and I'm not going to start arguing, about Frank, because as with any manager we've had,
give
before,
it 6 months. Give it 6
obviously.
months.
Yeah, but I need to see it. Still, I need to see it.
You just see it.
I need to see. I need to see the.
I think Frank will make us a top 6 club, and that's going to be the ceiling.
Well, see, that was my prediction.
Because we're not going to sign players to go further than that, and our competition are signing those players. Look at what Liverpool are doing. Look what Man City are doing.
Chelsea, I have us at best
Chelsea, yeah.
top 6, finishing 6, no cups. With Ange, I was being nice with the injuries. I said 10th and no trophies. With Frank, 6 and no trophies. So I'm being consistent. It didn't matter who was going to be manager. Next season, I knew it was going to be a waste. No trophies. And it comes back to Daniel Levy. Signings begin with him. It ends with him. Plain and simple. That's why, who posted this on the chat?
Murray, I disagree. I think Ange would have targeted a trophy. I think he would have gone for a cup. I do.
But how's he get? But the thing is,
A Carabao and FA Cup, I think he would have gone for.
Still,
I think that's the best we can hope for. That's the best we can hope for if we're realistic.
But the thing is, if we're not going to sign those quality players to elevate and fix the bloody squad that he put together, what chance has he got? Because he ain't going to improve, is it?
That's why I think he was removed. I don't think it's got anything to do with 17th, because if you were going to get rid of him, you would have got rid of him earlier from the league. If the league position was really that much of an issue, I think they pre-agreed behind closed doors. Look, you've got to get that Europa in top 4. Then, all right, leave it to me. He's done it, and they've said, right, listen, having thought about it, you got to go. Because I reckon, honestly, guys, Ange would have sat down with them and said, look, I need better levels of players now. I need those level of players now. And they decided no. And I don't think they said no to him. I reckon they just wished him all the best. We want something different.
But
because every manager, do you know what, Maz, do you know why I say this? Because every manager, before they get sacked, gives either hints or talks about needing better quality players. They all seem to say it. Poch, Conte, Jose, they all flirt with it, don't they? They all flirt with it.
The difference between Frank and Ange for next season is that none of us expect Frank to win trophies. Look,
that's fucked. That's so fucked.
No, the thing is though, Luke,
our ambition as a club, as a fans, we don't expect you to win nothing.
Hold on. Our chairman and CEO.
Let me finish. Still, I don't expect trophies under Levy. 23 out of 25 seasons, he hasn't won a trophy. As I said to you, we won 13 in the previous 40 years, and since then we've won 2 in 25. I don't expect anything from Tottenham under Levy. He doesn't have that obsession, that drive, that determination like the other owners do to have, City and Liverpool. They want trophies.
Ian, okay, but allow me to come in. But the problem we have now, and they've already messed up him from my point of view, is Levy and the CEO have come out, slapped the balls on the table, and said, "We want to win League, Champions League." Right, you want to win League, Champions League.
It's me.
Yeah, but this is what they've said. But Ian, let me finish my point. This is what they've said, right? This is what they've said, and I'm taking him on his word. He's promised me that. He's promised me, not you. He's promised me that a Champions League and a league. I want to know how he's going to get it. What players is he signing to get that? And what he's done, Ben Davies, Tell, and some guy I've never heard of from Fontana. God knows what they're called.
Right? Kawasaki Fontale.
Yeah. Fontana. Right?
Fontana.
Who are these people? And the problem is they
who are you?
Yeah, right. And the problem is Ange, the ultimate yes man, built one of the worst squads I've seen at Spurs, in my humble opinion, and we're not fixing it. We've got no top left, front left forward. We've got no good striker. We've got, who's on the right hand side? Odegaard.
No number 6.
No number 6.
Correct.
Right. Bentancur's not really the answer on his
Four-
own. I think
four
Bentancur's
kids at
a good
centre back.
player, but I think Bentancur needs good players around him or a good manager at least. I mean, Romero's gone, so okay, fine. Drag us in. What's his name? Danzo.
I forgot about Dragusin. There's
BDB.
another centre back. Jesus.
But we're in dire straits.
Maz.
We are in dire
Maz.
straits.
Maz, two things. Firstly, if Andrew stayed, he'd have taken us down. Or
No,
we'd
he
have-
wouldn't.
we'd
He's
have
not
been-
getting relegated, man. What is this madness?
We'd have been flirting with relegation still. Look at his league form last season.
He got us 5th when he focused on it.
Focus. He can't focus on
Players
winning
can't
trophy
focus
at
on
a
it though.
time.
He can focus on it. The players can't.
He can't.
Listen.
And
Okay,
secondly,
no, go. Finish what you're saying. Finish what you're saying.
Right. And secondly, Levy can say what he wants with Vinay. It's meaningless. Levy is not accountable to anybody. He can say what he wants. He doesn't care. It's the biggest bullshit going. Nobody's going to pull him. He's got away with so many catastrophic footballing decisions for 25 years. He doesn't care. So long as he's bringing in a profit, he doesn't care about the
I care.
football.
I'll tell you why I care.
You
I'm going to
care.
hold all of the
No,
league
but he
winners
doesn't.
accountable
We
for
all
what he
care.
said.
We
I'm
all
holding
care.
all of them accountable. Telling you now, all of them
Okay, how?
accountable.
And what
How am I
difference is
gonna
that
hold
going
them
to make? Tell
accountable?
me what difference that's going to make, Maz.
What? It
Tell
won't.
me
Well,
what
it won't make
difference-
any difference to the pitch. But what it does for me personally is it renders their Levy loving useless because he won't deliver what he's promised once
When it
again.
comes to football, he is the ultimate loser, chairman. There is no bigger.
Ian, you're not even arguing the points that I'm making, right?
But he doesn't care. Nothing will change while he's there. Maz.
I know it won't. I'm saying that now Levy has dug his own grave or set the standard that we know he's never going to meet. All of those Levy inners, right, who effectively give him excuses throughout the season, right? I'm going to hold them accountable for.
But he
for what
didn't
he
give
said.
a time scale, did he?
All right, well let's wait another 25 years then. Yeah,
Well, exactly. But the fans are okay with that because only 2,000 turn up
We're not.
out of 50,000.
yeah, we're not.
Where's the other 48,000? They're all
Yeah,
happy
exactly.
with it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this from any fan base. Do you think United, Liverpool, Everton would put up with this shit? Of course they
No,
would.
Hold on, Lubo. See, this goes back to my argument. He gets away with it because everyone manifests all their energy on the manager. Everyone goes all out on the man, whether it's Ange, Conte, Jose, whoever it is. This fan base, this is why I said this is the worst fan base. They put all their energy on the manager. So when Levy changes the manager, he gets away with it because Levy will just turn around and say, I've changed it. This is what you wanted. And he's got away with it again. This was the one manager that we said, this is the final straw. This is the end of the road. No more. And he's done it again. He's pulled everyone's pants
off his
down.
back.
He's done it again. He's done it again. He's done it again.
And we want
The
to win
fans are to
Champions
blame.
League.
The fans are to blame. The fans allow this to happen. The fans
Do you
allow
know
this to
what?
happen.
Still, I think I've just had a moment. It only happens once a year, right? And this isn't a bash on Frank.
Congratulations.
This is a bash. This isn't a bash on Frank. This is a bash on the club, right? Alarm bells should have been ringing when we got linked to a coach, because the minute you get linked to a coach, why does anyone expect the club to sign players that don't need to be coached?
I blame
It's
Sava.
because they've got no
Sava planted
interest
that
in
seed.
signing
Where is
that
he?
caliber
No,
of player, right?
Alex is culpable as well. I just
Alex
want a
box
coach.
office,
Just
Danny,
want a coach.
Sava, all of them. I want a coach.
You don't bring in a coach if you're buying three £70 million players that don't need to be coached, right? You need to bring a manager to win. Right, this stinks.
And this is
this
why I keep
alarm
saying
bells
it,
should have
and
We
you
need,
started
guys-
ringing.
we need
I
both.
keep-
Lee,
no,
we need
no,
both.
hold
We
on.
need a
Oh,
coach.
don't get me
and
wrong,
the
we don't
manager.
both.
That's my point. Lee,
We need both.
Stel,
We need both.
Iggy, Ian, when we talk about which manager should have come in, and I kept saying we need to bring a manager that can say no to Levy have gravitas.
Never
thing.
gonna happen, man.
Yeah,
Never gonna
exactly.
happen, Maz.
Yeah, but why should our
Never gonna
standards
happen.
change though? Yeah, but so why should our standards change? That's the point I'm making. You're saying it will never happen. Well, Spurs will never win the league, so why do we support them? We might as well give up.
If we got taken over tomorrow by a Qatari investment firm or full on taken over, what do you think their first play is going to be? Get a top class manager.
Exactly.
Top class manager in.
Sacking Conte was the fuck up, man. Sacking Conte.
But do you see my point? So the reason why I kept saying we need to bring
he wins the league everywhere.
He
wins the league everywhere, that guy.
Because they bring in standards, because they built their standards throughout their career. We don't do that. Right? So unless we start from that premise, I can't see us achieving what we should now achieve. Moving on from what Ange did in terms of winning the cup.
That's not what Levy said, though. That's not what he said.
By the way, I also blame Sean Butler. I blame Johnny. I blame half of last one of the Spurs. I blame Lubo. I blame everyone. Everyone.
You're never going to get this club while Levy's there is never ever going to be a successful football club. Still, can I go through the 7 points I made last night as well?
What is this? Have you written a report or something? We've got to mark your homework.
Yeah, yeah. John
said to me, "What would it take for you to be Levy in?" And I said, "You want to know?" And I made 7 points for me where he has completely screwed up in every single way.
Do we need to make notes, Lubo, or not?
No, listen, it's there. Okay. You can clip it, whatever. He has an obsessive nature regarding profits. Turn that obsessive nature to winning on the football pitch. Then you've got a winning mentality coming down from the top. Secondly, build a top team around you. He's not a football person. I'm sure he's never claimed to be a football person. The problem is that he's never had a top team particularly around him. He's been lucky where he's had good managers like a Redknapp, like a Poch, that have come in and overachieved. And players like Kane, who was a world-class player, came through the academy, who basically carried the team for a good while. So he's never built a top team. So along with the top team, number 3, he's never put together any form of football strategy for this club. Let me just give you an example of what I would say if I was sat there and I was put in charge there. You look at someone like Ajax or Bayern Munich who play a certain way. They have legends who are top football people who come in and run the football club. They stick to the same system. They play that system right the way down from the first team to the academy, and they stick with it. And if a manager doesn't work, they bring a new manager in, but he fits the philosophy that they have instilled in the whole club for many, many years. He's never done that. I mean, look how different Poch is to Jose, to Nuno, to Conte, to Ange, to Frank. We're going all over the place now. That was buy early. If you're going to give a manager a chance at the beginning of a season, Alex Ferguson always insisted to David Gill, you need to make sure I have my new players in early. They need to be integrated into the squad. So at least you've got a chance. You can hit the ground running. 5, buy the right type of players, not deals, not opportunities, but buy the right players for the football club. Whether it's 5 million for Dele Alli or if you're going to spend 75 million on a Van Dijk, doesn't matter. The money is irrelevant. The players got to be right for the team, for the manager, for the philosophy, for the way we play football. 6, pay the correct wages. Doesn't mean you go and you pay $500,000 a week like City are doing with Haaland. That's because that as you saw last season doesn't guarantee success every single year. Although City are probably the wrong example. But you pay the correct wages. You pay people properly. You know, so that if it's a choice of clubs, like in Mbeumo, if he's got a choice of United or Spurs, right? And he's unsure. He'll just look at the wages. United have offered him far more than Tottenham, allegedly. Number 7, also important. Not only is it important to buy right, you've got to sell right. You've got to sell at the right time and at the right price. And I'll give you an example. Ericsson wanted out. He sort of dipped over the top. Levy wanted 130 million for him because he saw Chelsea get sell Hazard for the same money with the 1 year left on his contract. He thought he'd get the same. He ended up getting 20 million euros, 17 million pounds. Ericsson should have gone much earlier. If he'd have gone at a 50 million, we'd have had that money to reinvest and bring someone in to replace him. We never replaced Ericsson. In fact, Ericsson came back, didn't he, on loan, I think? And Ericsson replaced Ericsson. Bale replaced Bale. Just ridiculous. There's no thought, nothing's thought out. Nothing is planned. There's nothing organised at our club. It's just chaos. And it's chaos because it starts at the top. Because we have a chairman that's clueless at football and busies himself in every single area of the football club instead of letting people get on. Paul Mitchell left. Paul Barber left. Michael Edwards left. These are top people. Why did they leave? They're not allowed to get on with their job, I was told. That's why they left. While we've got this chairman, we'll do nothing. I was gobsmacked we won a trophy last year. Couldn't believe it.
Lubo, I don't interrupt you, but I've just started a poll saying, would you vote for Lubo's political Spurs manifesto and make him chairman? And so far, 70% have said yes to you becoming the chairman.
These are just football basics that every chairman should follow. I'm no genius, believe me. All of this is obvious stuff.
Yeah, but that means, but what you said, I don't want to put a down on it, but none of it means anything if we keep going after managers.
Well, listen, if you don't get it right at the top, it filters down in the wrong way, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's too little, too late. Still, you're putting your flag in the ground for Ange, when really we should have put our flag in the ground for Jose or Conte, or Pop.
We tried. We did try.
Holy Trinity, right there.
We did try, but no one wanted to protest.
So
nobody wanted. There's only 100 of us protesting back then. We were called every name under the sun.
Yeah, but it's at the end of the day. Yeah, he's had enough of you still. But
it's my fault. It's my fault.
And at the end of the day, right? For me, the pressure's off a little bit this season because we have got that trophy, and I'm still enjoying it. I love speaking to Arsenal fans because they can't say shit to us at the moment, and we'll have to wait and see what Frank does.
Well, look, regarding what Frank does, the fixtures have come out. These are the fixtures that it's very difficult to read. So let's just focus on the first 10 games. We've got Burnley at home, City away, Bournemouth at home, West Ham away, Brighton away, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Villa at home, Everton away, Chelsea at home. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home games. And hold on, 1, 2, 3, 5. Yeah, 5 away games. The so-called difficult ones you'd say would be City and Brighton away, Villa at home, Chelsea at home, maybe potential banana skins, Everton away, and Bournemouth at home. But when you look at the first 10 fixtures, guys, and it's impossible to tell because we don't know what the squad's going to look like. How many points realistically do you see us getting from those first 10? If the squad stays as it is.
I'll tell you something. This is what I don't want to happen. I don't want Frank to have a really good start like Ange did and then peter out. And we just literally mimic Ange's record, starting really, really good and then just going on this massive downturn in form for the rest of the season. What I would rather happen is him lose first 2 or 3 games, and then we start a steady improvement cycle. Bit like what Poch did. I'll be a lot happier with that, because then you can see him building towards something. And that's the fundamental problem with Ange. I don't feel he was ever building towards anything over those 2 seasons. The squad just didn't change. Like, if you look at the squad from the first season to the second season, it's not really any different.
If after 10 games, Iggy, if after 10 games, Spurs are mid-table, 11th, 12th, the fans going to be patient? Is Levy going to be patient?
I don't think anything will change in the terms of how the fans feel towards the man. I think that in that 10 games, we're going to have, I believe we're going to play Champions League football as well. So,
yeah,
trying to manage. I don't know. Obviously, the fixtures
and the Carabao Cup as well.
Yeah, so at some point in September, we're going to be playing 3 games a week. So it's turning over the players from one game to another, being able to rotate, having a squad really. That's what essentially we've been discussing all evening, having a squad to rotate, but yet still be competitive in a team that you put out there. And that for me is where we'll find out where we're at. But I think you've got to give any manager first 10 games of the season. But I think I agree with Maz. I don't think he's going to be under any sort of pressure from the off. He's got to try and stabilise himself and the team. All I want to see is just when we go out there to play, just let's have a bit more balance between attacking and defending, and not taking ridiculous risks and suicidal stuff like we did against Chelsea at home. That was quite early on, if you remember. So I think that would happen. I think we've got a solid base in terms of defence if we stay as we are. I'm only going on the assumption that today is how we're going to be in September, of course, or when the league starts in August. So I can only go on that. I can't, this is all subjective. It's all subject to change. So if we stay with Romero, Van der Ven, Porro, and Udogie, just to give 4 names out there, I think we have got, and obviously Vicario, we have got a solid base to start from a defensive point of view. But midfield, I still feel we need to do something. And I've said it all along, in the wide areas, we need players to take on in one-on-one situations that are really good. But obviously, we're not having that inverted fullback rubbish, which I never liked. I'm hoping that won't be the case with Frank. And the way we play and we're set up for games is going to be a bit different to what Ange offers. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But to answer your questions, though, man, it's just like how we might lose a point here and there in the league because at the first, you want to start off really well in the Champions League, and that also depends who we get in the group. So the focus might be there. On the week that we got the Champions League, I think we might take our eye off the ball a little bit in terms of the league, but we'll then find our way in there. And then, it all goes down to what players we've got available. The home games look all right. I think we could do well there. Obviously, Man City and West Ham away, they're going to be tough games. So, Man City away, second game of the season. West Ham away, the following week away. So the away games are a bit tricky. Even Leeds away for me is going to be a little bit of a tricky one. But look at that. Look,
how the mighty have fallen, right?
Man City, West Ham away, Brighton away, and Leeds away. I think we're going to struggle to pick up points away from home. I think at home we can do well though. We've got Burnley, Bournemouth, and Wolves, and Aston Villa. It's not too bad for a first sort of 4 games at home. It's the away games that for me are a little bit, like you said, slippery, banana skin and Everton. So the away games are tough. In my opinion, I think the away games are really tough, more so than the home games.
We haven't done well against Bournemouth and Wolves.
No, we haven't. But I still think we can get it over the line in terms of picking up more maximum points. It's the away games for me that concern me a little bit because Man City and you got West Ham's like it's gonna be a tough. It's gonna be like the probably their first home game of the season. If they're maybe the second home game of the season. So, and Wolves are, Leeds to Ellen Road, man. It's going to be tough ground as it always has been for us. We shall see.
Iggy, mate, honestly, I have to say that the demeanour way you're talking about that, I feel so sorry because how far have we fallen, right? We are supposedly Spurs, one of the top 6. I'm looking at that fixture list. Hold on. But this is my point. I'm looking at that fixture list, right? And I'm thinking, really, the only one out of those is Man City away, right? Everyone else, every other one of those teams is beatable, right? And we should be beating them. But we've got to a point now where we're now in the mix. Well, I didn't get that far down because they were sort of at the bottom. So, but it's got to the point now that we are a club in a £1 billion stadium with all these glamorous lights and all this kind of stuff, and we are now sitting here at not even the season has started, saying that we've got banana skins. What the hell? What have we turned into?
Lee, that's the reality of it. If people still want to talk to me about Spurs being a top 6 club, we're not. We might be in stature, we might be financially top 6, but in terms of how I see this, I'm looking at Tottenham how I see it with my eyes. People want to try and convince me we're a top 6 club. What does that mean? What does that even mean? What does a top 6 club mean to you? Because to me, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. We are not in the way. In the way that we are and the way we approach, we don't move like a top 6. I can listen. All right, let's go through them right very quickly. Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal. Do we want to include Man United in that? Man United in terms of top 6, I think Man United they weren't brilliant, but you would include them normally. Then Man United will definitely be up there. Now you got the up and coming. Aston Villa, you got Newcastle. They're currently, for me,
Fulham, Bournemouth, Brighton.
For me, we are falling into that bracket, and even then, we're struggling. We're struggling to stay afloat with those teams like Newcastle and Aston Villa. In terms, for me, like I said, the stature of the club and financially and all of that stuff, perhaps we're ahead, no doubt about that. I'm talking for me, in my eyes, how I'm seeing them in the footballing ambition and how they're moving. I see Newcastle taking steps forward. I see Aston Villa taking steps forward. I don't see that progression happening in the same that I'm seeing with Aston Villa in moving forward. But again, it's just my opinion how I see my club alongside it. In terms of Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, and all them boys. And I say Man United because Man United, you know that this is not going to be something that they might not be challenging for like the way Liverpool at the moment and stuff like that. Yeah, but it might take time to get to that point again. But I see Man United I don't see them like this for a long time. I see this as going to be a period that they're going to go through, but they will be back to competing with that top 4 again. With us, can I honestly say that about us? Will we be just this team like this now, but then we're going to be moving up? I don't see it. So when people say top 6 to me, it doesn't have much weight for me. It doesn't mean anything to me in terms of where.
See, this goes back to the whole. Do you want trophies or league position?
When you see that fixture list, I think that fixture list. Sorry, the first sort of 5-6 games.
You can't have both because Levy doesn't deliver both.
If you look at that fixture, normally you say, do you know what? That's not too bad. You got. Normally I say, look, Man City away. With Man City away aside, we should be able. You're right, Lee. I would look at that and say, Man City away, and then you got Chelsea at home. The rest of them, we more than can hold our own against that lot. But when I see this Tottenham side, and it's got nothing to do with a manager that there's a picture, you know.
Then you see the front 3
in terms of where we're at. I would have said the same even if Ange Postecoglou was here. I would have said the same. But in terms of where we're at,
Iggy, I look at that top 10 and I take to account. I could be wrong. With the better coaching and structure, I look at defense. Not so much of our front 3, which I think is shit. I look at defense. If Romero's there with BDV, either he plays a back 3 because he plays towards their opponents. If he plays a back 3 with Danzo, BDV, Romero, Udogie bombing, and Poro. I'm liking that. Yeah, against
That's a
City.
myth, Mari. That's a myth. He
Yeah.
doesn't. He plays a back three sometimes when he adapts into it. He plays
Well,
four
yeah,
at the back most of the
but
time.
he switches up, so he can either play a back
It's
four,
not,
or back
Murray,
three.
it's not the defence for me that I have an issue with. I think we're quite good as set up defensively and a goalkeeper. I would look from the
It was our
midfield,
weakness. It was our
going
weakness.
forward. I don't see enough players that, for me,
I agree with you.
the opposition players will look at in the tunnel and thinking, "Fuck, we got, I don't know, Eze and but exciting players that scare you, thinking this is going to be a long day today." With that, I don't see that.
I'm just saying the difference is, like I said, at least now we're gonna really see all right, BDB, what he's all about, because we always give him accolades because he sprints back. Now he's not sprinting. He's next to Romero now. Now you still got, Udogie and Paro. So we're gonna see, are they gonna be inverted or not be inverted or whatsoever. So there's gonna be some differences. The 3 games that are like, I don't see any chance. Man City, who are going to be on a revenge tour. You saw them last night, and they got the new Argentina guy. Big up to Argentina right there. Or you guys can't see the flag. Echeverri already scored. Turkey already scored. Their new players are balling. And Chelsea and Villa. Those are the 3 games. I'm just like, but
Man City have brought in a couple of attacking players, man. Guys, you're going to find out about Rangers. You're going to find out about Turkey. These are proper players, man. Exciting players that, I'm not saying that obviously we're playing them second game of the season. Might be early on, but I'm saying that you want to have players coming in that are going to excite you as a fan and thinking, shit, we're in business. And only by signing these players that you can get even the fans on board and say, shit, man, right, we're doing bits there. We can get really on board. And the fans will support them at the beginning of the season. First game of the season, it's going to be rocking at White Hart Lane. But you need to have a team that everyone can be really excited about. And if we don't make those 2 or 3 signings where we really, really desperately need them, I say 3, and I'm being generous with 3. But you could say even 4, but 3 at least. 3 at the very least. If they don't come through before that first game of the season, it's hard to get on board. And I can't look at those fixtures and say, you know what, we're going to do all right. We're going to smash them up. That's how I see it.
But
man. I'm not going to lie to people about
would we have got those players under Ange? I don't think they would have come. Not with Ange in charge.
I think, Maz, and I said this before you came on.
But we just won a trophy with him,
I don't know. The answer to that, Maz, I don't know. But what I would say is, I feel that excitement from winning that Europa, going back to the Champions League, and having that leverage, and I've said this many a time. Remember, time to level up. Remember, I was saying all that. I was like, I think that was a great opportunity for us to really step in and move early for the likes of Mbeumo. Not wait for Man United, who've put another bid, by the way. They're talking about 60 million. They've upped their bid to 60 million for him. And this is a team that didn't even make Champions League football. They're ready to spend 60 million on a winger. What I'm trying to say is,
we don't know.
It's like we've gone. It still brought up a thing. So we won that Europa a month ago, just over a month ago. But it feels like we won it 6 years ago now. That's how much time has gone past. And that level of power, leverage that we had, it's kind of just fading away. And
yeah, they're probably thinking, why do we need Mbeumo when we've got Tell?
Cool.
No, do you know what? The transfer window ends at the beginning of 1st of September.
Yeah, but Liverpool just made 2 signings, spent 300 million nearly enough on 2 quality players.
We're not Liverpool. We are not Liverpool.
I know, but what I'm saying to you, and this is a team that's just won
we're not Liverpool, a club who wins league titles, but our chairman's saying he wants to win the league title.
But it's bullshit still. You know it's bullshit.
I know it's bullshit. I know.
Why is he saying it though, Lubo? Why is he saying it?
Because he knows fans will get sucked in.
Iggy, because he's not accountable to anybody. He's got away with murder for 25 years. he just thinks he's untouchable.
Do you know what? I honestly, at the best of times, I hate having this mindset when I look into a new season, and it's just like, but I just don't. I can't get on. It's very difficult right now to be super excited. Certainly for me, to the new season. That's why I'm about. It excites me more waking up at 2 a.m. to watch a FIFA World Cup match than coming and looking at the season. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's like it's very, very difficult for me to look at a new season when any kind of thing. No, I'm not going to say. Look, I'm open. I'm open in the sense of I'll see how it goes, but it's just for me. It's seeing the same old, like
Nothing
happening again, and then I'm like, well, what do you make of these comments that the manager said? What do you make of these comments that the Levy has said? Mate, I've seen it over and over again. These same statements being made over and over again.
Iggy? What did fans expect when we brought in?
You need to ask them. Did you
ask
them what they expect? Because when the only time I've seen,
did you expect anything when we sat Tange? Forget the fact that it's Frank.
I was open.
Did you expect anything?
I knew there was 2 outcomes, whether he stays or whether he go. I was open to him staying. I said, look, if he stays, all right, let's go with it. I wouldn't have been either there or there. I would have said, you know what? He's got to do better, certainly in the league, but he's got this enthusiasm from winning the cup. So I was open to him staying. But once he went, I knew that, and the reasons for him leaving, I was saying, no, fair enough. Because then if he goes, I would have. But when today I'm sitting, I'm listening to these statements that you brought up, because I didn't hear the video. I didn't watch the video. I read what was said. I'm like, mate, this is just it's like deja vu for me. It's like I've seen this before, and it's the same old rinse and repeat. And I don't.
What if these same players were being signed? So exactly what we're doing, but Glasner was the manager. Would we be like this or not?
Yes,
Glasner would have first of all, he would have come having won the FA Cup. So he would have come having won a trophy, which is kind of the same trajectory.
When the Europa
would have been a club we would have had a club having won a trophy, taken on a manager who's just won a trophy. So the two things coming together is a little bit different. Plus, he may have gone back to his own club and said, you know what, I'll take Eze. Eze might have been open to him coming because he's had him. On the assumption that Levy has said, I'll give you the money to go and get Eze. So there might have been a little bit of that going on.
If we signed Ben Davies, Matthias Tell, and this Japanese lad,
for me, that set the tone.
But Glasner was the manager. Would our conversation be the same right now, guys?
No, we would have been cussing Ange for allowing that to happen. We would have been cussing him. Davies again.
Davis has been signed. I think, for 2 reasons.
You would have said get rid of Ange now.
No,
Ange's gone. You mean Glasner?
Hang on.
Glasner.
Davis has been signed.
Davis was signed before the manager was announced.
Correct.
I think I would have been a bit more patient if this was Glasner, personally.
I was still be upset with the
Glasner would have been a manager that I would have accepted to replace Ange. I could have seen the logic in it because he's won trophies in good leagues, and he's a coach. So when he's been up against it, Frankfurt isn't the biggest club in Germany. He won the Europa Cup when the Europa Cup had the teams dropping in from Champions League, and to win a trophy with Crystal Palace, an FA Cup, the way he destroyed Villa in the semis, for me, I would have had a lot more confidence, a lot more.
But there's also the coaching factor as well. The fact that he's got a really good look where he's going to head to Liverpool. He's moving up. Eze looks at for me, he's going to move. There are players that they are producing and they've got better who are now kicking on to better teams.
Eze was developed. Eze he's another one that Arsenal let go. He's another one.
Listen, we laugh at Arsenal, Matt. If they get Gyökeres up front, who scored the most goals in Europe.
They're going to be a threat. They're going to be a big threat.
That's for me. That would be a massive sign. I know Zubimendi is a good player as well. I'm not knocking that.
We better pray Liverpool get Isak then.
Well, Liverpool's like I said, they bought 2 ballers from was it Leverkusen?
Yeah, Frimpong and Wirtz.
Yeah,
Mate,
Wirtz
it's
is
a lot of
quality,
money
man.
for them, but they're
Wirtz
proper
is
players.
quality.
Oh, Kirkus has gone as well, 50 million from Bournemouth.
That's
An
right.
up and coming left back. He had a good season at Bournemouth.
He's a good player.
So
He's
what
a
I'm
good
saying
player.
is, you see what I mean? I'm not saying you're right, Luba. We're not Liverpool, but Liverpool fans have just won the league, and they already think, shit, we just signed 3 quality players. They're adding to.
Well, this is why we argue about the structure of the club, right? This is why we argue about the structure of the club and how you can never escape from Levy being the problem at this club, no matter who comes in. Because Levy's the one who's allowed these structures to be put in the club, and we're constantly missing out on all these players every single season. And fans accept it, and they shouldn't accept it.
Maz, this is why those 17 years without the 25 years with these owners have been disastrous for our club. You know, the previous 25 years, we were picking up players like Ardiles, Villa, Gascoigne, Waddle, Sheringham.
Well, even in the last decade, they were all signing better players than what we are now. And we were earning less money.
It is a disaster. Tottenham have earned more. They've made more profit since the Premier League started than any other club.
I will also say this too. You know, going back to Glasner, I honestly, with Frank, he's come in like Ange and everybody else to say yes to the structure. I think Glasner took one look at that structure and said, hell no, I'm not going. If Levy wasn't there, we would have put Glasner. I mean, in stature, Tottenham is a bigger club than Crystal Palace. It's a bigger club. The problem is Levy's there. It starts with Levy, it ends with Levy, and Glasner's like, I don't want any part of it. If Levy wasn't there, I can guarantee you, we would have pulled Glasner from Crystal Palace. Problem is, Levy's there. You want to deal with that shit. Kudos to Glasner. He's like, nah, I don't want to deal with that shit. I saw what happened to Conte. I saw what happened to Jose Poch. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that shit.
You know what? Though there'll be somebody watching our stream tonight, and they'll be saying, "Here they go again. Levy out, Enoch out. Boring.
It goes back to it.
But what I'm saying is,
don't complain about Ben Davies in this Japanese.
Some Spurs fans and this you know what I mean. It's not like having a pop at people, but they'll be guaranteed. There'll be someone looking at this and go, Levy, Enoch out all over again. But it's like, mate. Like, look at us, man. This is fucking like, just look, we just won a trophy, and it's like, it's a long distance. Honestly, it feels like a long distant memory, because it's like we've seen a parade go by after we won that trophy. I feel like I'm seeing another one going by, but it's not a joyous moment. It's more like, there goes. I see that trophy again. I've seen in about 25, 30 years time. It feels like that's what we're seeing, the parade going by. We're seeing this trophy gone. We ain't going to see it.
Icky, the Champions League pool. United doesn't have a pool.
Listen, if we done up our game with our squad this summer, if we done up our game, we're going to get licks in that Champions League. I'm talking proper licks.
Wait for the Super Cup in August. That's going to be a sign.
You know what? Now, I'll tell you something else, though. In a one-off match, anything can go. And I'm like 99.9% PSG will win that game. I agree. But in a one-off game, anything can happen.
I'll tell you something. If we win that Super Cup,
PSG are going to dance around us. They're going to dance around us.
If we win that Super Cup, I couldn't give a monkey's what happens next season. I'm just telling you now. If we win that Super Cup, I will not give a monkey.
We will have eternal bragging rights over Arsenal.
That's why.
We win that Super Cup.
Eternal bragging rights
all season on stream. All season, just smoking away.
I'll join you, mate. I'm going to bust out the cigars as well.
If we win
all season,
if we win that Super Cup, for me, it seems bigger than Europa. I'm telling you, I'm going to be bantering every Big 6 team all year.
North Londoners' house will be like fire every Thursday
It is
night.
gone. Super Cup. Oh, I already heard your opponents. They said, "If Tottenham wins the Super Cup, I don't know who can handle it because of who we play."
In a one-off match, I think we can hold our own, even against the powerhouse that PSG are right now. And like I said, 99.9, we're going to win that trophy. But one-off game, you think, you know what? Let's see how it goes. And it's in the summer. Not everyone's in full flowing and all of that, so it's a little bit more different. It's an isolated game. But in terms of Champions League, man, when everyone's back,
different gravy.
I agree. But when we're talking Champions League football, and everyone's back and group, and you got to make it out of the groups, and depending on who you got in the groups, man, it's tough going, man. And if you ain't ready for that, you're going to get thumped. It's as simple as that. And there's no more dropping down to the Europa no more. That's gone. So Champions League football could be over before it even started. And it's not doom and gloom. This is like, you've got to say things how they are. It's reality, man. And it's really reality. And if we're not moving at the pace or we're not moving to what we're entering. You know what I mean? We've upped from Europa to Champions League football. We Europa trophy holders. And you think that, we've got a little level of stature. You got back into the Champions League after how many years? You're thinking, fucking hell, we've made it to that point. Now, what we doing? What we doing to get to fill in the stature that we just entered ourselves in? What we doing? We if anything, we're going the other way. We got players that could be leaving. We don't know if Romero's staying. We don't know what the situation one or two other players are about.
The yes man who thinks Tell's great. And we signed the Japanese guy after saying Ashley Phillips deserves another chance.
If you're telling me that the three players that we've signed is they're
not even good enough for the Europa Cup.
This is what I'm trying to say. That is
they're
the
not even good enough for the Europa Cup
of the level of competition that we are entering.
Like really, they're not.
Man. We are screwed. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Sorry, did Lee want to say something? Lee, did you want to speak? I know you wanted to say something.
Did I? Oh no, I was just going to say I'd be really interested to understand who the apparent 30+ candidates were for the managerial job and what they ticked them off. No, he's going to be a pain. No, he's going to want players. No, he's going to want players. No. Oh, he'll be all right. He'll just work with the youngsters. Yeah, we'll have him. 30+ candidates. Did you hear that when they said that? What a joke.
Yeah.
I bet Glasner was one of them as well.
I bet Mason was one.
Yeah. But hey, guys, we got 40 towers.
Yeah. Listen, we'll end it on that, then we'll wrap it up. So if you haven't heard, Tottenham have submitted a new planning application for 4 residential towers that will be built on the south end of the stadium. I don't know if one of these towers, because before there was 3, is now replacing the hotel, which might be the case. But they will be built. Oh no, it says sorry. I didn't read the next bit. They will be built next to the Plan Hotel, ready to be completed for the time of Euro 2028. So happy days at Tottenham.
What was it all these people were saying 2 weeks ago? Oh yeah, we're scrapping that. All the funding's going to go into the team. People just don't understand business and the requirements of what they're meant to fucking build.
Here we go.
Jesus Christ.
On that cracking ending, guys, I'm going to wish you all good night. God bless. Smash a like on your way out. We'll be back each and every Monday, but obviously things will ramp up once the season begins with the pre-season and some more transfers. So keep it locked in. Lubo, last words.
Listen, let's be positive. Let's see what happens. Starts the financial year.
You just read out a 7-point plan on how to fix Spurs.
No.
You say,
we're not going to win anything. We're not going to win anything.
Like your political manifesto to fix the club. Then you go be positive.
It's got to be better than last season. Football-wise, it's got to be better than last season.
Well, if we don't win the training, it's great.
I can't. I just looked at this coming season, thinking, if Angie's still there, I've got to go up and down the country watching us being ripped to pieces by Premier League managers that know exactly how poor we are, unlike the Europeans. And no, listen,
Final words, Lubo. Final words.
He's reading out another political broadcast.
Final word. I don't know. Good night.
Just so everyone knows, we had 150 votes. 65% have voted for Lubo to be the next chairman. 11% were not sure, so there's some votes to be won there. The rest said no, but the majority want you in. Maz?
There you go.
I'm glad that normal service has been resumed. And we're back to normal. And I'm looking forward to the start of the season. And yeah, Frank better impress me. Otherwise, I'm going to be, how shall I say it, very honest and appraise him accordingly.
And I'm going to have my apology letter from Maz, which is long overdue. We'll see. Lee?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, Lubo's campaign trail will start at the south of England and end in Glasgow on August the 19th. So if you can all make sure you come out to, and we will be casting the votes early in September. Thank you.
Iggy?
All I'm going to say is, as always, forever always, come on you Spurs. What else can I say? I'm hoping that I've got a lot of things wrong tonight, and I hope my enthusiasm ups a level or two by the time the season starts. That's all I'm going to say, because right now I'm not feeling it. I think I've been quite clear about that, but I'm going to go with Lubo and say, look, let's keep positive. And I'll try to. I am trying, believe me, I am. But we'll see how we go.
Maury?
I'm just going to say keep positive. July 3rd, 50 Cents and Mary J. Blige. Two of my artists be at Tottenham Stadium. July 3rd. Big events at that beautiful $1 billion stadium, baby. You can't beat that. Stay
I wouldn't
positive.
mind going to that, I wouldn't mind going to that.
That's a good concert. I'm not going to lie.
That's a good concert, yeah.
The stadium might come to you to something.
Go, Tacky. It's your birthday. You just got 5 minutes.
Go, Ben Davies. It's your. I'm going to keep it simple. Levy out, Lubo in. And on that note,
Yes.
see you next week. Come on, you Spurs.
Good night.
See you.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.